Humans, in their desire for power, are willing to sign contracts with vampires. Some even happily accept becoming a vampire's pet. This is simply because the world is ruled by vampires. When a human is granted the honor of becoming a vampire's bloodbound, they undergo a transformation of their bloodline and receive a portion of their master's supreme power. However, human genes are too fragile. During the bloodbinding process, many cannot endure the vampire's blood and die from internal explosions. Therefore, from birth, every human is assigned a gene rank. The higher the rank, the more power they can inherit from their vampire master. But the protagonist, who possesses the divine blood gene, loudly declares, "I am the true master of the vampires." At that moment, in the vampire city, two human bodies lay still on the floor of a grand hall. A vampire noblewoman murmured to herself, "They couldn't even endure a single drop of my blood, yet they dared wish to become my bloodbound?" With a wave of her hand, she ordered the servants to dispose of the corpses and use them as cooking ingredients. It turned out this noble vampire lady had yet to find a single human who could endure her blood, because she possessed the purest and most noble vampire lineage. Thus, her next target for recruiting a bloodbound was the Emerald City. Meanwhile, the protagonist, who had just transmigrated into this parallel world, found it all extremely strange. At that moment, he was being mocked by three others. This event is only for geniuses with at least A-rank genes. Trash like you doesn't belong here. Get lost. Only then did the protagonist realize he was standing on a red carpet meant for welcoming an important guest. He still couldn't accept the fact that this world was ruled by vampires. And that even among humans, there were 39 distinct gene levels. Curious about what those bullies had said, he pulled out his student ID card, only to discover his gene rank was merely C. Just then, someone shoved him hard. As his anger flared, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. It was Van Zong, his closest friend from his previous life. From him, the protagonist learned that today was the vampire lady's bloodbound selection day. Everyone gathered here was competing for the chance to be chosen by her. Once a human becomes bloodbound to a vampire, they gain enhanced powers, extended lifespan, and their master's formidable combat abilities. But most importantly, they experience the euphoric moment of bloodbinding, when the vampire bestows their blood upon them. For humans, this is said to be the most pleasurable moment in life. As Van Zong finished explaining, a few cars pulled up and stopped by the red carpet. A high-heeled woman stepped out, none other than Lin Langvu, the pure-blooded vampire noble. The crowd erupted in cheers. But the protagonist remained uninterested. He had undergone 9 years of mandatory service and knew one truth: the only reliable way to grow stronger was through one's own efforts. Becoming a vampire's bloodbound may grant power, but at the cost of freedom. You become someone's loyal dog, stripped of your emotions and all human memories. Your life or death lies entirely in your master's hands. With that thought, he grabbed Van Zong and turned to leave, only for an explosion to suddenly erupt behind him. The blast sent everyone flying. The protagonist quickly shielded Van Zong, but in doing so, was injured and coughed up mouthfuls of red syrup like blood. As the red liquid flowed, the protagonist's eyes turned crimson. A mysterious figure appeared behind him. At this eerie moment, Lin Langvu unleashed a powerful attack, clashing directly with the black-clad assassin. Overwhelmed, the attacker realized he had underestimated her power and fled. Meanwhile, the protagonist, still coughing up red syrup, was cradling Van Zong. This caught Lin Langvu's attention, but her gaze soon shifted to another person with purple hair. He arrogantly introduced himself as the school's top gene-rank genius, claiming he was the only one worthy of becoming her bloodbound. Others with high gene ranks also voiced their loyalty to Lin Langvu, believing their high genetic compatibility would ensure success in receiving her blessing. But Lin Langvu didn't even spare them a glance. "You pathetic weaklings mean nothing to me." She then appeared before the protagonist, gently wiped the red syrup from his lips with her fingers, tasted it, and softly said, "Come to my villa tonight. I want more." Then, she turned to everyone and declared, "Anyone still standing may come to my villa for a retest. The one who succeeds will receive my blessing." Before leaving, she even winked at the protagonist. The protagonist, still unwilling to become anyone's bloodbound, immediately asked the principal if he could refuse. But to his surprise, the principal replied that it was already too late. Lin Langvu had personally named him. Not going would be considered defiance, and the punishment for that was death. With a sigh, the principal handed him a life or death agreement to sign. That night, everyone gathered at Lin Langvu's villa. The butler announced that there were 58 candidates, but only 20 were granted the privilege to enter the young lady's chambers for the final trials. There would be at least 3 tests. Anyone who failed the first would be deemed trash and immediately eliminated. Thus, even if the protagonist wanted to quit, he had no choice but to pass the first trial. The others, full of excitement, urged the butler to begin the test at once. But they didn't realize, the test had already begun the moment they stepped into the villa. Those who spoke without permission were immediately disqualified. Because the first rule of being a bloodbound is absolute obedience to one's master. A proper servant never speaks unless allowed. After that, someone reported the updated statistics. 32 people had been eliminated earlier for speaking out of turn. The butler, concerned that eliminating too many contestants at the start might spoil Lady Lin Langvu's enjoyment, decided to give those 32 disqualified individuals another chance, with a twist. They would enter a survival battle, and only the last 5 survivors would be allowed to continue in the selection process to become her bloodbound. Everyone was silently relieved, but when they heard the term, survival battle, shock spread through the entire hall. Inside the grand circle of the main hall, the 32 would fight each other until only 5 were left standing. In other words, they were forced into a brutal death match. The protagonist silently thanked the heavens that he and Van Zong had kept their mouths shut. If they'd spoken earlier, they would have been eliminated instantly. Before the protagonist could even react to the butler's announcement, a second later someone was already stabbed on the spot. A long-haired figure with a terrifying expression and a giant blade shouted coldly, "Anyone not afraid of death? Come at me, I swear I'll be one of the 5 left standing." The protagonist thought this blade-wielding maniac was already extreme, until he saw a girl calmly step forward holding a machine gun. She sneered, "You dare talk big with just a rusty blade?" For Lady Lin Langvu's amusement, let tonight be bathed in blood. Gunfire erupted. It wasn't long before the majority of the 32 had returned to the afterlife. Once the gunshots stopped, only 5 contestants remained alive. The butler was quite satisfied with their performance and announced that these 5, along with the remaining 26, would now proceed to the first official trial. Then the butler stomped the ground hard. The floor split open, revealing lava-filled depths swarming with razor-toothed monsters. "The first trial," he said, "is to fish up a lava beast from below." The fishing rods were specially crafted from rare materials. Because the lava monsters feed on blood, contestants had to use their own blood as bait. The more noble the blood, the more likely it was to attract a monster. As soon as the rules were stated, everyone chose their fishing spots. The protagonist struggled to lift the 100-kilogram rod, already drained of strength. Just then, he noticed a muscular man flexing with inhuman force. His eyes glowed crimson, and his shirt tore apart as his muscles bulged unnaturally. The protagonist stared in disbelief. This was far beyond normal human strength. The machine gun girl from earlier smirked. "Cute. You guys probably don't know, he's just a juiced-up brute using strength-enhancing drugs." Apparently, the man had bought a stimulant to temporarily unlock his hidden strength. While it offered power, it carried a huge risk. Failure to resist the drug's effects could result in death or permanent disability. Still, the muscle man was lucky and successfully fished up a lava monster. Seeing that, the protagonist knew he couldn't wait any longer. Only 20 people would advance to the next round. He poured his red syrup onto the hook and cast it into the lava below. The moment the bait hit the lava, his syrup dispersed quickly. Unexpectedly, something began frantically biting at the hook. Feeling the rod jerk, he started reeling it in. There was definitely something on the line. But the force was overwhelming. It nearly pulled him into the lava. If not for Van Zong, who grabbed him from behind and held him back. "Don't let go," the protagonist said. As they both struggled together, through sheer effort, they finally managed to lift the beast into the air. The protagonist, drenched in sweat, thought he'd succeeded, only for horror to strike the next second. One lava fish had taken the bait, but now several others were biting into that fish, fighting over it. The pull from the combined weight and wild thrashing dragged the protagonist toward the cliff's edge. Seeing this, Van Zong grabbed him again and shouted, "Let go, or you'll die." But the protagonist clenched his teeth and refused. He wasn't about to let go, not after everything it took to hook these creatures. His arm muscles screamed in pain. His blood churned, and his eyes glowed red. The inner power sealed within him was suddenly unleashed. In an instant, a surge of immense strength shot through his body. With a final roar, he hauled the entire cluster of lava beasts out of the pit. His wild, primal energy radiated outward, so much so that Lin Langvu, who had been silently observing from afar, became visibly excited. "As expected of the one I have my eye on. I want to eat him so badly," she murmured to herself. But this amazing catch stirred envy in the others. They offered fake compliments like, "Wow, what a talented guy. He fished up so many in one go." Even as their hands reached for the biggest catch, clearly trying to steal it. Though the protagonist collapsed in exhaustion, he still stood up through the pain and growled, "Back off." But they ignored his fatigue and demanded, "Be a good guy and share the fish. You caught all the lava monsters. How are the rest of us supposed to pass the trial?" Van Zong was outraged. "Shameless. None of you helped when he was pulling them up. And now you want to steal? What are you, bandits?" The protagonist stood up, explained to Van Zong, then turned to the butler. "Obviously, they want to rob me. But tell me, does stealing someone else's reward, or even killing them, fit the rules of this competition? Please, let the butler clarify this for everyone." The butler chuckled and replied, "Our Lady wishes for a peaceful world. Naturally, robbery and murder are strictly forbidden in today's trials. However, there's an old saying, the beauty of humanity lies in kindness. If you were to share your rewards, you might be hailed as a noble hero." Hearing that, the protagonist sneered coldly. He pointed to one of the lava fish and said, "You want me to share? Fine." Then he tossed a single fish to Van Zong. The others thought the protagonist was afraid. They smirked, assuming he would hand out the lava fish to curry favor. But to everyone's surprise, the protagonist casually tossed one of the fish back into the lava below. The crowd instantly erupted with curses. "You little punk, you trying to make enemies with everyone here?" The protagonist gave a cold, indifferent smile. "And what, giving the fish to you would make us friends? In the end, only one winner can become the bloodbound. So why shouldn't I use this opportunity to eliminate some future competition?" His arrogance enraged the crowd. But the protagonist wasn't done. "If I offered this fish as a reward," he said loudly, "and someone is willing to kneel and call me daddy, I'll give it to them. How about that? After all, only 20 people can move on. If you kneeled too late, there'll be nothing left." The moment he finished speaking, a fat guy immediately dropped to his knees and shouted, "Daddy." The protagonist grinned with satisfaction. Feels pretty good having a kid. He then tossed a fish to his newly adopted son. But instead of gratitude, the rebellious son immediately turned hostile and threatened the protagonist's life. Still, the protagonist ignored him and turned to the others. "There are only 3 fish left. So, who's next to kneel?" 3 more people quickly threw away their pride and knelt, each receiving a fish, but all of them were secretly filled with murderous intent toward the protagonist. At that moment, Van Zong leaned over and whispered, "Wasn't that a bit too much?" The protagonist didn't answer him directly. Instead, he gestured toward the others and said, "Look into their eyes. Do you really think these pieces of trash care about anything but getting their name on the bloodbound list? To them, killing their own kind for a chance to be chosen is nothing. If they've already abandoned their humanity, why should I treat them like humans? They're just revolting, that's all." Van Zong was stunned. The protagonist had changed, no longer the passionate person he once knew. Now, he had become unhinged, consumed by something darker, and what's more, pulling up those lava monsters so easily earlier didn't seem normal at all. Something inside the protagonist had begun to stir. A cold, powerful blood now flowed violently through his veins. The way his heart pounded made him feel intoxicated. The harder it beat, the stronger his ambition grew. Then, suddenly, 2 sharp fangs emerged from his mouth. Vampire fangs. He looked around at the others. But none of them dared move. Despite the insults and provocations, no one had the courage to strike him down. No blood was spilled, much to the protagonist's disappointment. His attention then shifted to the lava fish again. Before everyone's stunned eyes, he threw a punch straight through the fish's body. His arm burrowed deep into the creature's flesh, and then, like a madman, he began devouring it on the spot. Everyone watching was horrified. They thought he'd gone completely insane. Eating a lava monster? That had to be suicide. But only the butler knew who the real fools were. None of them seemed to realize the true value of the lava fish. Its flesh and blood didn't just restore lost stamina during long competitions, it also enhanced latent potential within the body. Still, not everyone present was stupid. A few soon caught on and followed the protagonist's lead, tearing into the fish themselves. Thus, the first trial came to a close. In the end, only 20 participants successfully advanced to the second round. Van Zong, flustered, spoke up, "Eliminating 11 people, that's not a small number. Fortunately, our goal was only to reach the second round. We can just forfeit at the start." Then, he excitedly turned and said, "Vong Triet, we can return safely now. We're really lucky to have you this time." But Vong Triet remained silent, leaving Van Zong dumbfounded. Seeing that cold face and those deadly eyes, Van Zong hesitated, then quietly observed Vong Triette's expression as he stared intently at someone. Following his gaze, Van Zong saw him looking at Tran Dat's group. They were also staring back at Vong Triette, eyes filled with bloodlust, each one grinning wickedly. Tran Dat, seated atop a grotesque fish-like creature, raised his sword and laughed provocatively. Seeing that, Vong Triette's blood boiled. He threw off his blood-stained shirt with a cold snort. Then he raised a friendly finger and grinned maniacally. Startled, Van Zong broke into a cold sweat and shouted, "Vong Triette, what are you doing?" He nervously crept behind Vong Triette, whispering, "We're leaving soon, don't pick a fight with them." But Vong Triette, still holding that finger up, replied coldly, "They provoked me first." Van Zong tried to stop him, but he was cut off. "Don't you get it, Van Zong?" Vong Triette said. That made Van Zong freeze. "They're all in the same group," Vong Triette explained, glaring at the smirking Tran Dat. 20 people made it to the next round. Over half of them already know each other. Scanning the scattered individuals, he continued, "Of course, there are a few lone wolves. I should have figured it out earlier. Those who brought weapons must have known the rules in advance." Taking out his phone, Vong Triette analyzed further. "I checked online earlier. There are rumors. Once someone becomes a bloodbound, they start supporting their family's forces, leaking information to help their people rise to power. These people are brutal and organized. Even the rightful bloodbound ends up being just a tool in their hands." Van Zong, now weak in the knees, asked, "But what does this have to do with us?" Still staring at Tran Dat's group, Vong Triette replied, "Didn't you see their eyes?" He spoke seriously. "No matter what the second round's competition is, they'll all attack together." Then Vong Triette smirked with dark amusement. "And their first target is me." Van Zong panicked. Then let's just forfeit before it starts." But a fat guy in the other group, as if hearing the conversation, interrupted, "Too late. You dared to humiliate me. As long as one of us becomes a bloodbound, crushing you will be as easy as squashing an ant." He spoke with seething hatred, remembering how he'd been humiliated earlier. "With a real bloodbound in front of you," he sneered, "you're nothing but a lowly human." Smirking proudly, he added, "We are not the same. Our families have already produced bloodbound members. We were born with noble bloodlines and received advanced blood clan education from a young age to prepare us for becoming bloodbound. Low-born pure humans like you could never compare." But those words didn't faze Vong Triette. He scoffed and replied loudly, "So that's why you slaughter people so openly?" With one hand in his pocket, he arrogantly asked, "Van Zong, am I wrong? These people, no, these things, aren't even human anymore." His expression turned grim, his eyes razor sharp. "And things that are no longer human, don't deserve to live." At that, the group burst out laughing like they'd heard a joke. "Oh no, I'm so scared," one mocked. "You talk like you could actually kill us." Then Tran Dat smirked and said mockingly, "What a waste of words. This kid's just a weakling. There are others more worth watching." He then glanced cautiously at a lone woman across the hall. "Besides us, someone else also knew in advance that weapons could be brought in." After eyeing her carefully, Tran Dat warned his group, "Don't let your guard down." The fat guy stepped forward with a laugh. "Got it, a Dat, you're the strongest among us. We'll stick to our 5-to-1 tactic. When you become a bloodbound, don't forget your brothers." But Tran Dat didn't respond to that. Instead, he asked, "What's the competition for round 2? Meanwhile, in a shadowed corner of the large building, Vong Triette walked alongside Van Zong and said, "No matter what the second round is, the moment it starts, you forfeit immediately." Van Zong looked puzzled. "Then what about you?" Vong Triette scratched his head and smiled slyly. "You heard them. Whether I win or lose, they still want to kill me. So of course, I'm going to keep competing." His excitement grew as he spoke, his eyes gleaming, his face turning eerie. "At the very least, I'll kill every last one of those worms." Seeing that expression, Van Zong grew anxious. "Vong Triette, you're scaring me." Looking more closely at Vong Triette's increasingly sinister face, Van Zong thought to himself, "Compared to them, you scare me even more." Without hesitation, he asked directly, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Vong Triette felt his heart pounding, trying to endure a bone-deep pain. "I don't know, the blood is boiling. I don't even know what's happening to me anymore." At that moment, blood vessels rose up into his eyes, dyeing his pupils bright red. Hatred, overwhelming hatred, it's controlling me. I can't hold it back much longer. Just then, the butler walked in and announced, "The second round is about to begin. This time, 17 people will be eliminated. Only 3 will advance to round 3, the finals." Everyone in the grand hall, including Vong Triette, fell silent and focused. The butler raised his voice, the setting. Then, he declared loudly, the Tower Maze, within a 99-story building. Lady Lin Lang Vu awaits the first 3 to reach the top. Only those who climb faster than the rest have any hope of becoming a bloodbound. The location of the competition was the 99-story maze tower. Lin Lang Vu was positioned at the very top floor. The final 9 floors could only be accessed via staircases. There were 2 emergency stairwells. But after floor 90, only 1 remained. 4 elevators were available, but they only went up to the 89th floor. Butler R pointed to a building diagram and announced, "These are the public details of the maze tower. The 4 elevators and both stairwells can reach up to the 90th floor. But to reach the 99th floor, where Lady Lin Langvu is waiting, there is only 1 accessible stairway. In the land of perfume," he continued with a smile, "there's an old saying, 1 man guards the pass. 10,000 cannot break through. Lady Lin Langvu hopes to witness your unyielding courage through this battle." Seeing the contestants full of anticipation, he encouraged them, "Everyone, do your best." Then he took out a small piece of paper and explained, "Please write down the floor you wish to start from, anywhere between floors 1 and 89. Hearing that, the fat man rubbed his chin. "Considering the idea, we get to choose our own starting floor?" "That's right," Butler R confirmed. He continued explaining the rules. "If everyone starts from the first floor, a chaotic battle will break out right away, and tactical choices will lose their meaning. Lady Lin Langvu wishes to see more strategy and tension in this round." The fat man huddled with his group. "Then obviously, we should choose floor 89. That's the highest we can go. Just climb 10 more floors and we win." The others around them also began discussing animatedly. "Sounds good and all," someone said, "but if everyone thinks the same way, then floor 89 will turn into a war zone. So what? I think someone might deliberately choose a lower floor. Wait for the ones above to finish fighting, then come up and clean up the mess." "That makes sense," someone replied. "The first ones to fight will be exhausted or injured. So waiting to strike after the others have weakened each other is the best." "Huh? But everyone else is thinking that too. That's the problem." Amid the uncertainty, one of them turned to Tran Dat. "Dad, what should we choose? We've got the numbers." The fat one reasoned, "Let's all go for floor 89 and take out anyone else who shows up." Tran Dat fell silent, thinking things over. The whole group huddled closer, whispering among themselves, watching the opposing team strategize. Van Zong grew nervous. This is bad. If they really work together, they'll be unstoppable. Vong Triet, should we just forfeit together? But Vong Triet rejected the idea without hesitation. They won't act together. Huh? Why not? Van Zong asked, confused. Vong Triet smirked confidently. Bad habits die hard. Van Zong realized something and blurted, "You mean, they'll fight each other?" Vong Triet explained as if reading their minds. "Isn't it obvious? There's only 1 bloodbound position. If they were really united, then why did that fat guy kneel and beg me for fish instead of asking his own teammates? Deep down, they're all scheming against each other, seeing through their hidden agendas." Vong Triet seemed even more amused, as if contemplating how to kill them all. Van Zong sighed helplessly and asked, "Tu Triet, then which floor are you choosing to start from?" "I've already decided," Vong Triet said, holding up his paper. The word written was, "Random." Butler R read it and raised an eyebrow. "Kid, you've got guts. Giving up the fight already?" he warned. "Aren't you afraid you'll get dropped on floor 89 and be ambushed?" Vong Triet didn't respond, just gave him a sideways glance. Seeing that, one of the assistants asked nervously, "Then what about us?" With no other option, Butler R asked back, "What's today's date?" The assistant thought for a moment. "The 17th. Then floor 17 it is." Butler R decided, "That will be Vong Triet's starting point." "Yes, sir," the assistant replied. Not long after, just before the round was about to begin, Butler R raised his voice. "All right, everyone has chosen their starting floors. Except for Van Zong, who has forfeited. There are 19 contestants remaining. Good luck to you all. Lady Lin Langvu is waiting." He raised his hand and shouted, "Begin." Immediately, glowing circles appeared beneath the contestants' feet. Blinding light erupted from the circles. A strong gust of wind lifted Vong Triet's body into the air. All the participants were surrounded by a gentle whirlwind and slowly vanished. Darkness fell. The scene shifted rapidly. In some unknown part of the tower, a dim light flickered on. Feeling his body touch the ground, Vong Triet thought to himself, "I've landed." He opened his eyes and immediately went on alert, scanning his surroundings. This was the 17th floor. After confirming there was no immediate danger, he let his guard down slightly. I made it. Starting floor confirmed. He stood up and began calculating. The stairwell on the 17th floor seems safe for now. But just as that thought crossed his mind, from the shadows, someone appeared. Sensing killing intent, Vong Triet instantly spun around in defense. There's someone here. Vong Triet immediately turned serious and stepped back. Someone's here. A stranger spotted him and charged into attack. The man, with a cold and sharp expression, rushed forward wielding a fire extinguisher. But just as he was about to swing it at Vong Triet swiftly dodged to the side. Without hesitation, he turned and bolted up the stairs. The large, muscular attacker hoisted the fire extinguisher and chased after him, gritting his teeth as he prepared to hurl it. But to his surprise, Vong Triet suddenly spun around and delivered a powerful kick to his chest. Thrown off balance, the man tumbled violently down the stairwell. Vong Triet looked down at him with a satisfied, fearless smirk. Everything had gone according to plan. Just as he was about to move in to finish the job, his eyes landed on the fire extinguisher. An idea sparked. Picking it up, his eyes glowed red and his face turned cold as ice as he approached. Seeing this, the man turned pale with fear. He stammered, wait. Terrified, he raised his hands and screamed, "Stop, I give up, I surrender. I was wrong." Vong Triet slowly lowered the extinguisher and let out a breath. His expression softened slightly, and the red faded from his eyes. The man, drenched in cold sweat and staring at Vong Triet like a bloodthirsty demon, trembled inside. "I got lucky, I survived. What the hell is he?" He couldn't make sense of it. "I've undergone special physical enhancement training from the family. Even my instructors couldn't beat me. But he took me down with just one kick?" He was stunned. That one kick. It felt like my muscles and bones were all crushed. Is that even human strength? The more he thought about it, the more frightened he became. One look at Vong Triet's expression made him shudder again. Vong Triet stepped closer, smirking coldly. "You're with those bastards, aren't you? Got anything you want to tell me?" After extracting all the useful information from the man, Vong Triet calmly continued up the stairs. "Got valuable intel," he thought as he climbed, analyzing everything carefully. "There are 10 of them total, split into 5 groups. 3 of them, including the one called a DAT, went straight to floor 89 to block the critical area. The others spread out to floors 20, 40, 60, and 80 to control key access points and prevent others from moving up." With the fire extinguisher still in hand, Vong Triet cautiously climbed the steps. Floor 20, according to the intel. Someone should be stationed here. He scanned the area, but saw no one. That only confirmed his suspicions. Just as I thought. As expected, the so-called group distribution was worthless. The ones sent to block lower floors had no real chance of reaching the top. No way they'd obediently accept that. Analyzing the layout, Vong Triet continued his internal monologue. Floors 79 to 89 are the danger zone. Most of the contestants will converge there. He made up his mind. I'll take it slow. I neither want to become a bloodbound, nor do I want to simply surrender and walk away. That's why I chose random. But with this bizarre change in his body, anxiety crept in. My rational side is pushing me toward extreme behavior. But deep down, I'm just an ordinary person. As those thoughts swirled, Vong Triet's pupils began to glow crimson again. Emotion surged, urging him to destroy everything in his path. Then came the headaches. He broke out in cold sweat, rubbing his temples. Suddenly, red veins bulged on the back of his hand. Feeling the searing pain, he gritted his teeth. My head, it's spinning." He glanced down at his hand, now covered in blood-red veins, and panic set in. What's happening to me? The world around him was now bathed in red. His vision was warping. My eyes. He furrowed his brow, face growing more serious. Just then, while Vong Triet was staggering on the stairs, a figure suddenly leapt down from above, launching a surprise attack. Suddenly, a strange figure appeared behind Vong Triet, like someone possessed. His eyes were brimming with killing intent. I've got him now. Hypnosis, genetic suppression. I just happened to learn it by chance. I can manipulate my own mind and even hypnotize others. With my S-rank genes. Suppressing those with weaker genes is easy. Once hypnotized, they become slaves. That's why I've been lurking here on the 46th floor, waiting to find prey I can control. He lunged at Vong Triet from behind. Once I collect enough strong slaves and reach the top floor, Lady Lin Langvu will have no choice but to come meet me herself. I'll be number 1. His hand grabbed Vong Triet's shoulder, activating the hypnosis technique immediately. He spoke smoothly. Don't turn around. Relax. Do as I say. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Now slowly open them. Vong Triet turned around just as his face twisted unnaturally. Open them, the man said, only to stop mid-sentence in shock. Vong Triet grabbed his throat. What is this? He yanked the man downward. So you're saying this thing I've become is all your fault? The man gasped. No. Vong Triet drove a fist into his gut, making him howl in pain. It's a misunderstanding, he cried out. Why didn't the hypnosis work? His genes, they can't be more advanced than mine. But when he saw the furious gleam in Vong Triet's eyes, he trembled. It's you. Vong Triet growled. Take it out. Get rid of the red in my eyes. And the veins too. The man went pale with fear. I swear I didn't. My hypnosis just suppresses your genes. It's only meant to immobilize you. Anything else would require deep hypnosis. Before he could say another word, another blow struck his stomach. I haven't done anything yet. The man gasped. Killing me won't solve anything. Why don't we team up? We can reach the top floor together. Vong Triet finally let go. The man collapsed to the ground, unconscious. But on Vong Triet's neck, the veins were now more pronounced. His eyes darkened. He leaned close to the man's head. Opening his mouth wide, he looked as if he was about to bite the man's neck. Just as he was about to sink his teeth in, Vong Triet suddenly snapped back to reality. Startled, he flinched and stumbled back. Sitting on the floor, confused and shaken, he muttered, What am I doing? He looked at the man in front of him. His eyes locked on the back of his neck, burning with hunger. Me? Drool was dripping from his mouth. Slap. Vong Triet struck himself across the face, snapping out of it. Am I going crazy? Then he bolted. Run. Vong Triet ran down the stairwell at full speed. Get out of here, run. His thoughts flashed to a barbershop once owned by a king. Run. But suddenly, his foot slipped. He fell forward, landing face first onto the stairs with a heavy thud. It looked painful. Vong Triet lay motionless at the foot of the stairs. The stairwell above was shrouded in darkness, with only faint lights flickering above. He murmured weakly. At the very top, his body twitched slightly. Vong Triet slowly pushed himself upright. He looked up, toward the darkness above. His eyes glowed red, twisting into something demonic. I'm hungry. His enormous shadow stretched up the stairs. Hungry. In the darkness of night, the moon turned blood red, casting a crimson hue across the entire sky. A voice spoke in the silence. Yes, sir. The lady's safety has been perfectly arranged on our end. It was Butler R speaking calmly on the phone. The cold incident last time was just an accident. Their real target was the mayor. Understood. After ending the call, he turned to the surveillance technician. How much longer? Almost over, the technician replied, looking through the security feeds. A brutal battle could be seen unfolding, just as predicted. No matter what method the players used to ascend, it all eventually led to the chaos of Floor 89. Everyone was trying to preserve their strength but was also afraid of losing the chance to advance. That tension, it was perfect. On one screen, someone was hiding behind a wall. On another, a woman was fleeing. Each participant relied on calculation, luck, and skill, betrayals, hidden tricks, last-minute surprises. Some turned on their allies. Others feigned weakness only to strike when it mattered most. There were those who attacked with ruthless efficiency, and others who chose a target right from the start, relying solely on their overwhelming power to carve a path upward. Butler R and the black-robed figures watching with him applauded. It was thanks to their tireless efforts that Lady Lin Lang Vu could enjoy the finest experience possible. Suddenly, Butler R asked, right. Where's Vong Triet? One of the robed figures began typing rapidly. I'll check. The camera switched to show Vong Triet making his way up the stairs. Found him. He's almost at floor 89. At that moment, Vong Triet's steps slowed. He had just entered the eye of the storm. As soon as he set foot on the floor, he saw a young man get flung aside violently. Then another figure came crashing in with a flying kick. The battlefield before Vong Triet was a storm of blood and chaos. Everyone was fighting everyone else. Blades clashing and screams echoing. His eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a strange creature, not quite a ghost, not quite human, looked up and locked eyes with him. It lunged, swinging a staff. But Vong Triet took a single step to the side, just enough to evade. Then another one charged. Again, Vong Triet moved gracefully past him without effort, slipping through the storm of combat as if untouched by the madness around him. As he walked, he came between two fighters who were locked in deadly combat. Both froze, startled, lifting their heads to stare at him. But Vong Triet didn't even spare them a glance. His face was cold, indifferent, as he continued forward as if none of this concerned him. Suddenly, A man wielding a sword leapt out. You're dead meat. Only one person gets to ascend this stairway, and that person is me. A woman nearby shouted a warning. Be careful, the blade is poisoned. The man snarled. You annoying little brat? Too late. This card was meant for you. But now he can have it instead. Flash step slash. You're nothing but a pest. He dashed forward, blade gleaming, only to suddenly realize something was wrong. Vong Triet had caught his wrist. Time seemed to freeze. Then, crack, Vong Triet twisted his arm, causing the man to scream in pain and drop the sword. A sharp sound rang out as Vong Triet caught the weapon in midair. He slowly brought the blade to his lips and licked it. The onlookers were shocked. After licking it, Vong Triet sneered. Too little. Tastes terrible. His eyes glimmered with craving as he looked up. The real feast is above. So close now, he muttered with a wicked grin. From the shadows, a woman emerged, beautiful, seductive, almost time to feast. Vong Triet steadily ascended the stairs, step by step, leaving Hua Fong standing alone, watching his back. In the dim shadows of the stairwell, Vong Triet gripped his knife tightly and marched forward with resolute bravery. At the same moment, Hua Fong began to jog quietly after him. Someone else saw Hua Fong and was stunned. Shit, he cursed, and quickly started chasing as well. It was Tran Dat. As he rushed up, a hand suddenly shot out from the side, blocking his path. Startled, he glanced at the hand. And then, a swarm of undead surged toward him, their ghastly moans filling the air. Tran Dat recoiled in horror. What the hell are you guys doing? Stop them. That wasn't part of the plan, he shouted, struggling to cling to the edge of the door as he cursed furiously. But the savage zombies only opened their blood-stained mouths wider and lunged straight at him. Blood sprayed into the air, painting the scene a shade more grotesque with every drop. On the verge of shattering, the glass door reflected a horror show painted in red. Corpses were strewn across the floor. The staircase was littered with mangled zombie remains. A bloodied handprint smeared across the glass as someone tried to cling to it. Gasping for breath on the stairway, Tran Dat coughed heavily. He had barely escaped with his life. Huff, damn it, he muttered. Bloodline. His hand trembled as he pressed it against the wall, his face drenched in blood and hatred. I will, definitely? His blood-streaked face twisted with burning resolve. I will become a bloodborne. I must. Outside the palace, the bright moonlight cast a majestic glow over the city, making it seem almost alive. A voice called out in the night. Lady Lin Langvu. Inside the grand palace, a red-haired woman stood by a window, gazing at the moonlight. It was Lin Langvu. A subordinate bowed beside her and reported. The first 3 have arrived. She replied with satisfaction. The appetizers you prepared weren't bad at all. I'm quite pleased. She lifted her fingers to her lips, tasting something imaginary, and smiled. Especially the final bloodbath, the desperation and desire swirling together. What a delightful blend of flavor. Truly the perfect starter. And now, the 3 main courses are on their way. Vong Triet, Hua Fong, and Tran Dat. She referred to them as the main courses. I wonder, she mused with a twisted smile, what kind of climax these dishes will bring me. In the heart of a grand and lavish banquet hall, Lady Lin Langvu gently lifted the silver covers, revealing an elegant fork and knife. Her eyes sparkled as she announced. Ah, I can hardly wait. Let the feast begin. Melodic tunes drifted through the air as the banquet commenced. Elegant footsteps danced across the marble floor in rhythm with the music. Masked noblewomen smiled gracefully, laughter and delight ringing out among the guests. The masked orchestra played an enchanting tune that seemed to blur the line between dream and reality. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the hall, drawing everyone's attention. They're here. They've arrived. All heads turned toward the grand entrance. There stood 3 figures. Vong Triet, Hua Fong, and Tran Dat. They had arrived just as the banquet began. The guests whispered, excitement growing with every second. It's starting. It's finally starting. The 3 came to a halt, falling silent as the announcement echoed through the air. Welcome to the Maze Ball. The ballroom was now filled with masked couples dancing gracefully. That eerie voice returned. A large-scale immersive roleplay event, to select the next bonded. Tran Dat, covered in injuries, glanced around in confusion, muttering, What is this? Where's Lady Lin Langvu? Where is she? In front of them were dozens of masked beauties, their identities hidden behind elegant veils. Then the announcement continued, tauntingly cheerful. Oh, don't be impatient. Lady Lin Langvu is here, among the 100 gorgeously dressed belles. Tran Dat stood frozen, listening, as Lady Lin Langvu's future bonded. The voice continued. How can you not recognize your own master? Trandat? Then, the spotlight shifted to a woman with an overwhelming presence. Next, Hua Fong. And finally, Vong Triet. Our 3 finalists. Congratulations on making it to the final round. Your task. From among the 100 women present, find Lady Lin Langvu. Huh? Trandat exclaimed in shock. The camera panned across the hall, zooming in on 2 stunning young ladies. She's the most beautiful of them all. The voice teased. Then it moved on, to a pink-haired woman. A masked girl behind a curtain. A quiet maid, or even a girl disguised as a male waiter. You have only one chance. Once you make your choice, invite her to dance. If she is the true Lin Langvu, she will accept, and led you into her private chamber. An image appeared, of a couple waltzing under the chandelier. But, the voice suddenly dropped an octave, its tone turning sinister. If you choose wrong, you become our prey. In this immersive ball, the hunt can begin at any moment. We'll devour you, starting with tearing off your clothes. And then, your skin. The masked beauties giggled softly. So, don't choose wrong. We are man-eating demons, though maybe, just maybe, I am Lin Langvu. Hua Fong widened her eyes at the twisted rules. Vong Triet simply pursed his lips and remained silent. Trandat was visibly panicking, eyeing everyone with suspicion. Now then, the voice chimed cheerfully. Let's begin. You have 30 minutes. In that time, choose your dance partner. Trandat stood rooted to the ground, deep in scheming thought. Suddenly, a woman beside him chuckled. I know exactly what you're thinking. It was Hua Fong, calling him out instantly. You're thinking, instead of playing this stupid guessing game, why not kill us too, me and Vong Triet, and guarantee your win? Smart. Her pupils glowed crimson. She lifted her coat slightly, revealing sharp, gleaming bullets hidden underneath. She spoke quietly. You know why I haven't made a move yet? He stared at her, silent. She shifted her gaze to Vong Triet's back. Because I can't beat him. Instead of becoming his direct enemy, I'd rather use someone as a human shield. When you go berserk, I'll seize my chance. Trandat gritted his teeth and cursed. Damn brat, she just sneered. Play by the rules. I'm giving you a chance. Her tone brimmed with killing intent. But at the very last second, before the game ends, I'll kill you. Then I'll slaughter everyone here, including Lin Langvu, with the psychic bomb planted inside my own body. Inwardly, she reflected. Those who betray trust must be purged. That's the code of our organization. She thought of the mayor. He barely survived, but won't live much longer. Humanity, already paralyzed under bloodborne rule, still has a few who will never yield. We believe, someday, there will be a turning point that changes the fate of mankind. She gripped her gun with steely determination. And softly, firmly, she whispered, there will be. An unsettling aura lingered in the banquet hall, where every elegant lady present was a vampire, all savoring the moment with visible delight. Little one, don't waste your time, go find her already. One of them teased. That's right, another added, their voices laced with amusement. A girl pulled a dat close and said playfully, come here, sweetie, take a guess, am I Lin Langvu? Laughter erupted as several women surrounded him. You're rushing too much, aren't you? They cooed. Watching this from afar, Hua Fong muttered, idiot. All around her, other women continued to tempt and coax. Darling, since you're searching anyway, why not drink a little with me? I'm very close to Lin Langvu. I could help you find her. But Hua Fong stepped away, refusing sharply. No thanks, I'll search alone. Strange laughter echoed in the air like a spell. And Hua Fong clutched her head. Dizzy, her vision blurred. On the second floor, Lin Langvu calmly observed the chaos below. Everyone seems so enthusiastic. She commented with amusement. Her companion replied, well, ever since the government issued the human protection laws, the chances to feast openly and celebrate like this have become rare, especially an event this grand. The girl asked teasingly, are you really going to toy with your potential consort like this? Isn't that dangerous? Langvu gave a sly smile. Enjoy yourselves. Food that can't be shared with friends always tastes a bit duller. Her companion laughed. True. Besides, no one will actually find you. The difficulty's too high. The hall is saturated with vampire charm. Normal humans can barely stay conscious, much less find you. Langvu raised her glass, took a slow sip, and smiled. Even so, I have my eye on one of them. That little spark. I have a feeling he might surprise me. She stared at Vong Triet, her gaze filled with a curious expectation. And then, he looked up at her. Their eyes met. Langvu was caught off guard, briefly frozen. In the very next moment, Vong Triet shot up toward the second floor, grabbed her wrist, and said in a low, Dangerous voice. Found you. Lang Vu blinked in surprise. Then quickly recovered and laughed excitedly. Are you sure? Aren't you afraid you picked the wrong one? But he looked at her as though she were a rare delicacy. No mistake. Your scent is different. I'm starving. I want you. Hearing this, Lang Vu's eyes lit up with excitement. Then let's skip the dance. She whispered. I'm starving too. She pulled him away eagerly. Let's see what you mean by eating me. Come on. Below. Adat suddenly realized. That's her. Lin Lang Vu, he found her. He collapsed in disbelief. No, I won't lose. I can't. Hua Fong also saw what happened and shouted. No, she mustn't go. She rushed forward, trying to trigger the bomb embedded in her body. But a soft hand touched her waist. She frowned. Why isn't it working? A girl with glowing red eyes leaned in and whispered. This banquet hall is shielded. No signal can get through. Absolute safety. In the next moment, other vampire women surrounded her, easily restraining her. No matter who you were or what your intentions were. One of them purred. There's no way to resist here. Her gun clattered to the floor. The vampire's thirst could no longer be contained. Such a sweet little girl. One murmured. Hua Fong could only struggle helplessly as the shadows closed in. We've got all the time in the world to enjoy this. They whispered. Cut to a scene inside a lavish, dimly lit chamber. The soft rustling of fabric filled the air. Lang Vu pushed Vong Triet down gently, then crawled closer to him, her crimson eyes glowing with desire. Revealing her fangs, she whispered with anticipation. I want to begin. Vong Triet grinned, his voice low and eager. So do I. Inside the grand chamber, Lang Vu leaned close, her voice low and enticing. You know what, little flame? You're the first. Their eyes locked, inches apart, the first to ever make it to this bed. She gently caressed Vong Triet's face, smiling. Once I grant you my blessing, from soul to body, you will love me. Obey me, become mine completely. Without waiting, she bit into his neck, savoring every drop. As your queen, I can grant you glory beyond imagination. The moment his blood touched her lips, Lang Vu trembled in exhilaration. So rich, so intense, so electrifying. She licked the blood slowly, enraptured. The taste, its perfection. I could drown in this sweetness. As she let herself fall into that euphoria, her expression grew dazed, her tongue trailing over her lips. It's divine. I want to savor every second of this. And once I've had my fill, I'll make him mine, completely marked by my scent. Overwhelmed with pleasure, she whispered again. Perfect. But then, unexpectedly, Vong Triet reached up and gently held her neck. So, does it taste good? He asked calmly. Still lost in bliss, Lang Vu laughed softly, wondering why the ritual hasn't ended. It's still early. She giggled, tracing a finger down his chest. I'll drain every part of you, little by little, and then fill you with my blood. That's how the ritual ends. A slow, intoxicating journey. The night's still long. Remembering what he had said earlier, she teased. Didn't you say you wanted to eat me? She touched his waist, urging him closer. Come on now, or are you scared? But instead, Vong Triet calmly placed his hand on her neck. A pair of crimson eyes opened wide, and his fangs gleamed in the dim light. Then let me start, he said. Without warning, he sank his teeth into her throat. Lang Vu froze, eyes wide in shock, struggling in disbelief. What? Why do you have fangs? She screamed and thrashed. Let me go. But he pressed her down, continuing to drink. His hands pinned hers tightly. And Lang Vu, utterly terrified, shouted again. Stop, stop it. But he kept feeding, ignoring her cries. Then, she felt something foreign surge through her veins. A strange warmth invading her. What is this? She stammered, eyes widening. I'm being marked. Her voice trembled with fear. No, I'm the one who gives the blessing. Lang Vu's mind reeled. I'm the master. I was supposed to be the one in control. And then, her terrified scream echoed throughout the castle halls. Get out, get out. Vong Triet lay atop Lang Vu, his arms tightening around her shoulders as if afraid she might vanish. Suddenly, he lowered his head and sank his fangs deep into her neck, leaving a vivid mark on her pale skin. Lang Vu flinched from the sting, her breath catching in her chest. He bit deeper. Ah, don't, she gasped, gripping his head, but then she let out a breathy laugh, eyes filled with twisted pleasure. As blood welled from the wound, bright red like a newly bloomed rose, Vong Triet drank without pause. Entranced by the warm, metallic sweetness coating his tongue, Lang Vu's cheeks flushed, lips smeared with blood, but she didn't feel pain. Quite the opposite, she was exhilarated. So much ecstasy. Unable to restrain herself, Lang Vu wrapped her arms around him tightly. More, I want more, she whispered, trembling. Don't stop, please. Vong Triet let out a low hum, his eyes glowing crimson, his fangs growing sharper. The moment Lang Vu caught sight of him, she jolted as if struck by lightning. Her eyes widened in horror, cold sweat dripping down her face. I'm sorry. She crawled closer to him on her knees. Noble master, she whispered, voice filled with submission, please continue the blessing ritual. Let your loyal familiar, Lin Lang Vu, receive your grace. She bowed her head low, utterly docile. Vong Triet wiped the blood from his lips, a sly grin forming. Thanks to you, he said, drinking your blood cleared my head a bit. He lifted her chin. You're just an ordinary pureblood. Not much use, but I suppose I'll take you in anyway. Lang Vu's face lit up with joy. Truly? Thank you, my master. You've marked me. I only wish to belong to you. Vong Triet chuckled. His eyes gleamed a fiery red. Blood sigils and vampire noble traditions, always so dramatic. But fine, this situation is special. I'll grant you one. A red glow flickered on his fingertip. Slowly, he pressed it to her forehead, etching a mark. Yes, yes, Lang Vu giggled with glee. When the blood sigil was complete, a crimson emblem appeared on her forehead. She smiled, utterly content. Thank you, my master. Then she lazily lay her head on his lap. So this is what it feels like, to belong to a powerful familiar. I never want to leave your side again. But curiosity soon surfaced. Master, why are you inhabiting such a weak vessel? I must have misjudged you at first. Vong Triet's gaze darkened, his face suddenly cold as stone. That's not something you're meant to know. Lang Vu shot upright, shaking in fear, her breath caught, dread spreading through her limbs. Yes, my deepest apologies. He leaned back against the bed frame. I need to rest and process everything. The rest, I'll leave to the original. She blinked. The original? Yes, he's another version of me, growing, evolving. He's the one you should obey. Lang Vu bowed low. Yes, master. I don't want to draw attention. Publicly, you will announce that you are the one who owns me. Understood? Yes. Vong Triet collapsed onto the soft mattress and slowly closed his eyes. For now, that's enough. He said nothing more. Silence filled the room. Soon, his breathing grew steady, his features softening as if a great burden had been lifted. Before long, he was fast asleep. Lang Vu propped her chin on her palm, gazing down at him fondly. My sleeping master is adorable too. Two sides to the same person, how lucky she was. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. There are so many positions I can try unlocking now. Suddenly, a mischievous idea lit up her face. But, this master has no memory. I can't scare him either. So what should I do? A pause. Then she beamed. Ah, I know. Vong Triet remained fast asleep. Eventually, his eyelids twitched. He stirred, blinking slowly as he sat up and cradled his aching head. My head. His fingers pressed to his temples. Something soft brushed against his hand. He froze. Huh? His heart skipped. There, on the bed, was the silhouette of a woman. Lang Vu lay there, her body on full display, smiling like a cat playing with its prey. Little familiar, she cooed. Congratulations on being chosen. Shall we begin the blessing? Vong Triet's mouth dropped open. He stared in disbelief. In the spacious chamber, its dark velvet curtains drawn tight and candlelight flickering against cold stone floors. Lang Vu purred seductively. What's wrong? She sat gracefully on the edge of the bed, her voice like velvet. Still not coming over? Don't you want to enjoy the pleasure with me? Startled, Vong Triet scrambled off the bed. This must be some kind of mistake. Lady Lin Lang Vu. I must have dozed off. He fumbled his way toward the door. I should leave now. Wait. Why won't this door open? Lang Vu stepped down from the bed, her voice lowering. If you won't come to me. She glided forward and gently embraced him from behind. Then I'll just have to come to you. Startled, Vong Triet's eyes widened. He quickly shook her off, pulling free from her arms. His breaths came in ragged gasps, echoing in the room like the growl of a beast backed into a corner. Lang Vu's eyes sparkled with amusement as she watched him. Her cheeks flushed slightly. So you're rejecting me? Rejecting the gift of my blood? The chance to become a vampire's familiar? His fists clenched as he kept his distance. She smirked wickedly, fingers brushing her lips. Looks like you'd rather die than surrender. Still trying to resist. Turning me into a puppet. Stripping me of my will? I'd rather die. Vong Triet snapped. Lang Vu placed a hand on her hip, her tone mocking. Is that what you think this is? You're wrong. When someone strong like you becomes bonded to a master, your mind won't even want to resist. It won't feel like submission. She leaned in close, her voice brushing against his ear like a whisper of silk. It'll feel like comfort, like home. Her hand traced the back of his neck. You'll find yourself wanting to stay close, to touch? Her breath warmed his ear. To kiss? With a sudden move, she slammed her hand next to his head. Kabedon. To satisfy. You understand now? Vong Triet's face flushed. Lang Vu gripped his clenched fist. But don't fight me yet. I have a proposal. She caressed his neck lightly. Would you care to hear it? Scene shift, outside. Reporters bustled outside the estate gates. They're here. The cars have arrived. A fleet of sleek black vehicles rolled up. Cameras clicked. A reporter spoke into the mic. Good evening, viewers. This is breaking news. It's been 10 years since a pureblood vampire last selected a human familiar. That's why Lady Lin Langvu's selection event has stirred such a frenzy. Tonight, at the grand banquet held by the nobility and city officials of Jadeite City, she's expected to formally present her choice. As the car door opened, Lang Vu stepped out with elegance. Onlookers gasped. She really chose a random human as her familiar? Is she serious? Voices murmured across the crowd. Purebloods always choose from old human lineages sworn to their houses. It's a political ritual. A symbol of control. We thought she was just entertaining herself. But this is unprecedented. Vong Triet followed her out of the car. Whispers rose. That's him? The human she picked? Lang Vu took his arm. And together they walked the red carpet bathed in sunlight. Sparkling with poise. Cameras flashed. Fans screamed. Lady Lin Lang Vu. Security held them back. Red rose petals rained down in her path. All eyes locked on her. Admiration and awe painted across their faces. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. Click, click, flash. He really is the one? Doesn't look like much. Just an average human. No lineage. No connections. Doesn't his family run a barbershop? Politics. Someone muttered. You know how it goes. Purebloods usually pick from the 7 great human houses. But this time, it seems no one met her standard. So she went out herself and picked a nobody. But that makes him disposable. Another whispered. If a weakling like that dies, it won't affect the bond much. She can just find another. All around, eyes judged him like he was nothing but a joke. Lang Vu tightened her grip on his arm. Don't look so grim. Smile for the cameras. She leaned in. Today, you're the media's darling. Pretending to be my familiar is the price for your survival. You'd better play your part well. Vong Triet sighed inwardly. Smile? Yeah, right. I've somehow become a walking target. I'll just have to wing it. Inside the banquet hall, the Duke bowed politely. Lady Lin Lang Vu, it's been far too long. We're honored by your presence. Please give my regards to Count Tay Knock. Lang Vu returned the bow. Thank you for the warm welcome. Duke Ngu Duong. I'll be sure to pass your greetings along to my father. The Duke's gaze shifted to Vong Triet. This boy, his blood is still stirring. He must have undergone the bonding ritual recently. Vong Triet avoided his eyes. The Duke sniffed the air. His aura matched hers. So it's true. He's her familiar. Nearby, a noble sneered. Youthful arrogance. He'll never amount to anything. Lang Vu replied coolly. Noted. Thank you for your concern. Turning to Vong Triet, she murmured. You've caught their attention now. Many disapprove of my choice. They'll come after you first, of course. Huh? Vong Triet blinked. She gestured subtly. Over there. Some of them are already itching to make a move. Dozens of eyes glared at him. The nobles couldn't act directly. He was bonded to one of their own. Lang Vu smiled. So, what now? Vong Triet tensed. I'm just a normal guy, no powers. What am I supposed to do? She looked at him seriously. If you can deal with them. Her tone deepened. I'll reward you. I'll teach you an ability. How about that? Vong Triet's eyes lit up with curiosity. An ability? Abilities. Asterisk mystical powers possessed by humans with rare, powerful genes. Several familiars approached Lang Vu and the protagonist with cunning smiles. Lady Lin Lang Vu, may we borrow your familiar for a moment? She gave a casual nod. As the protagonist walked off, she called out cheerfully behind him. Good luck. He swallowed hard. I saw it with my own eyes, her powers, and the time someone attacked me out of nowhere. The protagonist stopped in his tracks, rubbing his forehead. Wait, what happened after that? Why did I end up on her bed? The two familiars chuckled darkly. This way. Vong Triet, pulling aside a velvet curtain. They revealed a door. Trying to run back to Lady Lang Vu for help? Ha, no chance. They spoke in unison. Night of the Familiar. Every newly initiated familiar must go through it. The transformation of mind and body. From human to blood-bound. The rites that follow. The doctrine. They must all be absorbed by the end of tonight. He hesitated. A royal order? No way around it. One of them shoved him forward. He stumbled through the doorway. A voice called out from inside. New arrival. Vong Triet. A cloaked old woman stood before him, beckoning him to the long ceremonial table. Others were already seated. Hurry, she urged. He mumbled a quiet, okay, and took a seat. I am Aizen Gyoro, ranked according to bloodline as the favored concubine of the demon lord Isara. She introduced herself. I preside over tonight's Night of the Familiar. Every time a new familiar is born, this rite must be held before the grand masquerade. A royal tradition. She raised her arms. Everyone is present. We begin. The room darkened. Candles flickered. Repeat after me. To the merciful and mighty blood sovereign, we thank you for forging flesh and blood, for granting us evolution and survival, to kneel beneath your feet, to let all creation draw from our blood. In our wretched, fleeting days, only your majesty brings true peace to the world. Everyone raised their hands in solemn synchronicity. Your rule is the greatest blessing. The world exists for you. We worship, we praise, we serve. We have no father, no mother, no family. We exist only for you and our master who shared their blood. We are familiars, loyal servants for eternity. The protagonist sat, chilled to the core. What kind of oath is this? A voice broke his trance. The newcomer today, Vong Triet. Gyoro barked. Huh? He startled. Begin the sacred feast. A servant approached and placed a silver plate in front of him. He blinked at the neatly sliced meat. Is this for me to eat? He wondered, sweat breaking out across his brow. Wait, this can't be human meat. Right. He cautiously picked up the knife and fork, cutting into it hesitantly. Please tell me this isn't? Suddenly, the servant took the plate away and placed it in front of Gyoro instead. She skewered a slice and shoved it into her mouth with disturbing glee. Her voice echoed, 10-month milk-fed lamb. Exquisite. What the? Vong Triet's jaw dropped as sweat rolled down his cheek. Gyoro slammed her hand on the table. A bell rang once again, now glowing with crimson light. Begin the sacred feast. Servants appeared with platters of roasted lamb and goblets of deep red wine. Praise the mighty blood sovereign. The familiars lifted their glasses in unison. Thanks to the Lord for the gift of blood. They chanted together. No Freo, no Freo. Their lips dripped red, mouths open in animalistic pleasure. A familiar leaned over, placing a hand on Vong Triet's shoulder. What are you dazed for? Eat. He chomped down greedily, speaking through full cheeks. This is high-quality meat and wine, stuff you'll never get outside a royal banquet. You're lucky. The laws have softened lately, catering to humans. In the old days, the real ingredients were better. He grinned, eyes narrowing. Virgin's blood, infant flesh. Now that was flavor. Vong Triet stared in horror. Don't look so shocked. Stick with me, and one day I'll take you to the real parties. He leaned in. Lady Langvu's ties with my master are decent. As her familiar, you've got that going for you. Even if others dislike it, I'm personally on your side. His voice lowered. Just be smart. When someone gives you trouble later, bear with it. The masters won't break protocol to defend a familiar. They won't kill you either. You're still protected. You'll be fine. He chuckled. Afterward, I'll show you around. You'll have fun. Forget your human mindset. Open your eyes to the world as a higher being. The banquet roared on. Glasses clinked. Red wine flowed like rivers. The man raised his goblet with a smirk, lifting a finger to toast. You'll crave this flavor one day. Trust me. Vong Triet could only stare, stunned and silent. Vong Triet looked at that horrific banquet. All around, people were celebrating. He thought to himself, madness. Everyone raised their arms, following bizarre rituals, completely mad. He kept watching those people, from women to men, and deep down, he realized, this isn't a night of kinship. This is a night of wild revelry. Arrogant madness, a frenzy to the extreme built upon the suffering of humankind. He stood up, pressing both hands on the table with a disappointed attitude. It's over. At that moment, the old woman with a mysterious face shook her bell and spoke. Let's move on to the next segment. She continued. Bring her up. Right after that, a beautiful girl with a slender body was brought forward. The crazed perverts around started to cheer excitedly. A holy rite. There's a holy rite tonight. My God. The mysterious old woman burst into laughter. Haha, Lady Lin Langvu has a special status. Her Qian Chu Kai Da. I dare not treat it lightly. Even if it's slightly illegal. Ha ha ha. Vong Triet's mind was now swirling. Holy rite? This is a minor girl. What are they planning to do? The old woman snapped her fingers as a signal for the ritual to begin. Laughing. Haha, let's begin. Clack. A sound rang out, and at the same time, a beam of light from above shone down upon Vong Triet and the girl. While he was still on guard, the girl suddenly collapsed onto the ground. He froze, still not understanding what was happening. Huh? He uttered in astonishment. The old woman and the perverts were flying and circling above him. The ritual had begun. She raised her hand and commanded, "Commence the holy rite." He looked up, dazed. What? The girl clutched her cloak tightly. Head bowed, her face full of pain and sadness. Vong Triet turned to look at her. In his eyes, she was an innocent and naive girl, her clear gaze captivating to behold. Vong Triet stared at her without blinking. Suddenly, she raised her hand and gripped the air tightly. He looked at the scene, confused, and a question mark formed in his mind. Drip, drip. Blood dripped from the knife she had used to cut her own hand. Drop after drop fell, drip, drip. A scene enough to make people want to scream. Above, the perverts were thrilled by the scene. Gulp. Salivating sounds echoed from them. Back to Vong Triet, the girl held out her hand to him, offering him the fresh drops of blood. She spoke to him, "Please enjoy." The blood on her hand kept falling endlessly. The old hag shouted furiously, "What are you waiting for? Complete the ritual." Behind her, the others smirked mockingly. The guests taunted him. Haha, isn't it obvious? Too cowardly to act? Humans becoming Qian Chu. Of course their minds can't handle it. Isn't that the reason we hold Qian Chu Kaida? To help these Qian Chu realize the truth, that they're no longer human. The old woman continued angrily. If you don't complete the ritual, you won't be recognized by the Qian Chu Association. You will replace humanity and become the next sacrificial offering. Back to Vong Triet, at that moment, only one thought consumed him. The next sacrificial offering? Suddenly, he spoke up. Qian Chu have become vampires. No longer human? And this kind of blood, you want to drink it too? The vampire perverts laughed and responded. Haha, for vampires, the higher the blood quality, the rarer the delicacy. Humans are just basic food. He turned to the old woman. She sneered. Don't think becoming a Qian Chu means you're no longer food. In vampire law, only the strong can stand at the top of the food chain. Vong Triet replied, I see. He turned coldly away from the twisted vampires. So, when we're human, we must offer our blood to vampires. When we are no longer human, we're still food. The only difference is how good we taste. Right? The monsters confirmed. Exactly, so you'd better show respect. You've just become a Qian Chu. Even with pure blood backing you, you're no match for us. They grew more frenzied. We can beat you at any time. Eat you alive. Now finish the ritual. Then offer your blood. After we generously share in your blood, you'll understand the difference between high and low, noble and humble. Know your place. Vong Triet coldly spoke 4 words. So that's it. To become a Qian Chu meant becoming someone above, with the right to drink human blood. But at the same time, becoming high-grade food for vampires. He thought of the pure, innocent girl again. So this, hidden truth. This is the truth that Qian Chu Kai Da wants to convey. He reached out his hand to wipe the tears from the girl's face. Those flying above looked down arrogantly. He was angry. Disgusting. I really want to take them, all of them. Vong Triet's eyes turned red. His face twisted with rage. He wanted to stomp them beneath his feet and crush them to dust. Inside the banquet, Lang Vu was holding a glass of wine and walking around when someone loudly called out. Tiu Vu, a noble mother and son duo, approached to strike up a conversation. Let me introduce, this is my good-for-nothing son. Also the provincial police chief. Though we're not 100% pureblood, we're still 75%. I once had the honor of meeting Count Tay Knock. He kept praising you. At that moment, the young man came forward and gave a formal kiss on Lang Vu's hand. I've heard your name for a long time. Miss Lin, I'm Trong Trin Tai, she replied indifferently. Hello. He placed a hand on his chest and proposed. Would I be honored to have a dance with you, miss? Lang Vu frankly refused. Sorry, I can't. Seeing this, the noblewoman quickly cut in and suggested. Tiu Vu isn't in the mood to dance. Trin Tai, why don't you take the lady over there to sit somewhere quiet? He smiled awkwardly and gestured. This way, please. Watching the two of them walk off, the noblewoman smiled with satisfaction. If we could form a marriage alliance with Lin Lang Vu, our family's status would rise another level. She schemed inwardly. Rumor has it, Count Tay Knock's standing in the eastern court is unstable, being suppressed by the emperor. At this thought, she smirked smugly. Lin Lang Vu is going against the current times by forcefully making a mere human her familiar? That little girl still wants to resist the tide? Then she also walked into the room. If she has any sense, she should accept a marriage alliance with our family. Lang Vu noticed her gaze and said, Your mother is watching us. Hearing that, Trin Tai laughed awkwardly. Don't mind her. My mother has long admired your elegance. Miss Lin, I work in the Provincial Public Security Bureau. If you're interested, I could introduce myself more properly. But seeing her remain indifferent and not listening, he awkwardly asked, Miss, what are you looking at? Lang Vu scoffed lightly and answered, Oh, just worried about my familiar. Trin Tai raised a brow curiously. The human with no background that you just took in? I imagine he's suffering quite a bit during the familiar's night ritual. Should I check in? The host of tonight's ritual is a good friend of mine. However, Lang Vu said, No need, he's just facing a few familiars. That's all, nothing worth worrying about. What I'm concerned about is that he bullies others too much. If their masters aren't heartbroken, I'd be surprised. Thinking he misheard, Trin Tai asked again, Huh? Did I hear that right? You mean your little familiar can return unscathed? Miss Lin Lang Vu, you should know well, familiars may evolve into vampires. But they don't fully inherit their master's power. They must rely on their own efforts to train and adapt to high concentration blood. The more they can adapt, the more power they can inherit, no matter how strong you are. He's only been your familiar for less than a day. How much of your blood could he even absorb? Inside that hall are all familiars who have fully evolved. Even if he's a genius, there's no way he surpassed all the others in one day, right? Hearing that, Lang Vu was clearly displeased. Genius? He's not a genius. Her face grew solemn, eyes wide as she exclaimed. Lang Vu recalled the image of Vong Triet sitting on the throne and declared firmly. He's a king. This left Trin Tai slightly shocked. A king? Realizing she had slipped, she quickly deflected. Just kidding. The masters of the 7 royal courts, they're beings we could never reach. I only wish that someday I could behold our king, to witness the presence of the one who stands above all vampires. Hearing that, Trin Tai agreed. Who doesn't want to meet the king? But only provincial heads have the right to an audience. Count Tay Knock may have held power for years, but he's never been granted a formal title. Miss Lin Lang Vu, if you married me, I could definitely climb to that position. When that happens, just then, hurried footsteps and shouting rang out. Something's wrong, something's happened inside. Lang Vu seemed to understand and suggested calmly. Shall we take a look together? She glanced inside and said coolly. My familiar seems to have run into some trouble. Everyone rushed to pull back the curtain and see what was happening inside. They were all stunned to see trusted familiars lying in pools of blood, and Vong Triet holding a girl in his arms. What happened here? They panicked and questioned. Vong Triet, what did you do? He fell silent for a moment, then replied, What did I do? Recalling the battle, Vong Triet thought, I only did what any human would do. Those who betray humanity must die. At the time, he had lost all reason, launching into attacks with one thought in mind. They must die. Each enemy was ruthlessly slain by him, one by one. In that moment, he seemed like someone else, eyes glowing red, wearing a savage grin, striking again and again. All of them must die. By the time he came to his senses, the scene was already like this, a pile of corpses lying in blood. The more he thought, the more confused he became. Exactly like last time, my mind was in chaos. Everything before his eyes had turned pitch black. The only thing that felt real was the sensation of his fist smashing into flesh. His pupils contracted. Vong Triet began to doubt his very existence. This is too strange. He remembered it all. No time to think about it, even before. Being able to fish up that thing was strange. And I even thought the bite mark was just a hallucination. Even the illogical strength I have, it all doesn't add up. Vong Triet was lost in a fog. What exactly am I now? Am I still human? At that moment, Elder Ha pointed his cane straight at Vong Triet and cursed. Vong Triet must die. Seeing that, Lang Vu spoke up as a reminder. Elder Ha, please have some self-respect. Upon hearing that, he roared even louder in rage. Self-respect? My familiar ended up like this. Before he could continue, the noblewoman mocked him with a laugh. It's just a scuffle between toys. No need to get so worked up. Another girl chimed in. Elder Ha, your familiar couldn't even beat a newly evolved one. What a disgrace. Faced with the ridicule, he was furious but didn't dare to argue back. At that moment, Elder Ha's familiar, beaten to a pulp, lay trembling on the ground and begged. Please, master, don't. I just lost my footing for a moment. I've served you loyally for 50 years. Done countless things for you. Realizing his secrets might be exposed, he didn't hesitate to end her life in a swift and cold manner. Useless. Then he turned back and asked. Lin Lang Vu, what do you say? You still won't hand over Vong Triet? Lang Vu laughed, delighted and playful. What? I didn't quite catch that. Elder Ha said. You're the daughter of an old friend. so I can't force you. In that case. Outside, a giant iron cage descended from the sky, enveloping the entire villa. He ordered, then let Count Tay Knock come deal with this himself. Seeing this unfold, the other nobles began buzzing with chatter. So ruthless. He sealed off the entire manor. No one's getting out now. My familiar got beaten too. I'll stay and wait for Count Tay Knock as well. Haven't seen the Count in ages. Kinda miss the old days. Same here. If he's being suppressed by the royal court, now might be a chance to rise. Hearing their excitement, Lang Vu said calmly, so, everyone's eager to meet my father. This banquet, after all, had another purpose. It was meant to prepare for his arrival. Wasn't it? She then pulled out her phone and immediately dialed her father. If everyone's so eager to meet him. As soon as the call connected, Lang Vu spoke in a spoiled, whiny tone. Hello, Daddy Tilda, please come over now. Everyone wants to see you. They're bullying me, Tilda. After hanging up, her demeanor shifted. She sat down, crossed her legs, rested her chin on her hand and said, all right then, let's wait for my father. She glanced to the side and said casually, since we're free anyway, Vong Triet, come over here. With a serious look, she emphasized every word, massage, me. Seeing this, Vong Triet seemed to grasp her hidden meaning and responded, yes. He gently laid the girl down on a seat, then silently approached Lang Vu. Seeing him frozen, she urged him, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up. Hearing that, he placed his hands on Lang Vu's back. The moment his hands moved, her expression changed. A strange sound escaped her lips. Ah, that feels so good. Hearing that, Trin Tai blushed. This slut. The man beside him smirked and commented, didn't you just say earlier you were all close and cozy with her? Already done with her? Trin Tai turned seriously and replied, what do you know? Count Tay Knock may be under pressure now, but he's a pureblood noble. His combat power is said to have reached peak Tin Ju rank. He then added, just one step away from king-level combat power. Trin Tai continued, with that kind of strength, all of us combined couldn't take him down. If we could share his food, that pureblood blood, The two men began drooling at the thought of that blood. Vong Triet, overhearing their words, was left speechless. These guys. When his hands paused, Lang Vu turned and asked, what are you thinking about? In the blink of an eye, she pulled him into a surreal space. Focus, and massage properly. Suddenly, another Lang Vu appeared behind him, causing Vong Triet to jump in shock. She burst into laughter and reassured him. Don't worry, Lang Vu gently explained. This is a private space between a familiar and their master, created based on the master's consciousness. She continued, you and I in this space are both in spiritual form. People in the outside world can't interfere. Indeed, from the outside, everyone could still see Vong Triet giving her a massage. Hearing this, he became suspicious. He grabbed Lang Vu's hand and asked, wait, familiar space, what do you mean? He began bombarding her with questions before she could respond. You haven't bitten me yet, right? I'm still human. I'm not a vampire. I'm human. Lin Lang Vu. To every question, she merely smiled sweetly. Realizing he had been tricked, Vong Triet began to complain. You tricked me? I'm no longer human. His shoulders slumped in despair. At that moment, Lang Vu pounced and pinned him to the ground. She leaned in and whispered urgently. My father's on his way. With his strength, he'll definitely find out. So while there's still time, hurry and cultivate. Lang Vu lifted his hand. We need to increase your power a little. You've only integrated 1% of my strength. It's still too unstable. Vong Triet blinked blankly. Cultivate what? Integrate what? Flustered, he shouted, get off me. There are people watching from outside. Indeed, many eyes were fixed on them from outside. Frustrated, he yelled, you're insane. Looking at her dazed, flushed cheeks and the bit of drool at her mouth, Vong Triet could only scream in helpless disbelief. Lin Lang Vu. At this moment, Lang Vu pinned Vong Triet down, causing him to cry out awkwardly. Lin Lang Vu. Vong Triet blushed all over, sweating bullets as he tried to stop her. Don't. Just then, she raised her hand and cast a spell. Countless strands of spiritual threads emerged. Can you feel the heat? She asked. His eyes widened in shock. Ability. The very next second, those magical streams shot straight into Vong Triet's head. Subduing it. Control it, she said. Treat it like a blank page. Following her words, he suddenly visualized a pure white square taking form in his mind. He focused, shaped it. Before their eyes, a large ability page materialized. Lang Vu said, see that? This is your Di Nong, the place where your deep blood energy potential is stored. She approached and explained with a friendly smile. To become strong means to keep filling this page, completing it more and more. Understanding the rules, understanding yourself, understanding others, these are the foundations that determine victory or defeat. Staring at the completely blank page, Vong Triet asked in disbelief. This is my ability page? It has nothing on it? Lang Vu answered quickly. That's exactly why you only know how to use brute force. Then, unable to suppress her excitement, she puckered her lips and leaned in. Now, give me a kiss and I'll teach you the rules of writing. He dodged and pushed her away, then closed his eyes and focused on feeling the power of his own ability. Vong Triet raised his hand and imagined himself holding a pen. Then he started writing on the page. Rustling sounds echoed. Wherever the pen touched, beams of light appeared. After a while of fiddling, suddenly a blinding red light burst out. Vong Triet's pupils shrank in disbelief. This is, on the page, an old refrigerator appeared. He screamed in shock. A refrigerator? It was a 3-door. Outdated, single-unit type. Clutching his head, countless questions popped into his mind. His face pale, he asked himself, why is it a refrigerator? Lang Vu, still pouting, tried coaxing. One kiss and I'll tell you. Vong Triet rejected her immediately. I'd rather die. He ran over to the refrigerator. It didn't move an inch. Curious, he examined it, though he couldn't understand why it had appeared. It was still something. At least it meant change. Can this even be opened? What's going on? After a while, he sat on the ground in frustration, seriously reflecting. The power within him, it really did feel somewhat restrained. It seemed like it could be controlled. Lang Vu, eyes sparkling with affection, watched him lovingly. My master is so adorable. The Dinong pages of normal people were usually made up of rigid text. Sometimes they were just drawings. Even she was surprised and thought, I've never seen a 3D projection like this before. Still unwilling to give up, Vong Triet kept fiddling with it. He tried everything, but the fridge still wouldn't open. Seeing this, Lang Vu ran over and snuggled up to him with admiration. That's why I say, master is truly worthy of being master. But in the next second, her expression turned serious. But we don't know what's inside this fridge. She observed it cautiously, wary. Something about it just felt dangerous. Soon after, the clouds dispersed slightly, revealing a bright full moon. From a distance, Elder Ha and his group observed silently. How strange, this boy. The man thought to himself. Something's not right. Suddenly, outside, a blinding red bolt of lightning crashed down. Dark clouds rolled in, the sky lit up red, thunder booming repeatedly. Seeing this, the Elder Ha group broke out in cold sweat. It's here. A blazing light erupted from high in the sky. A man streaked downward at supersonic speed, and crashed violently through the manor rooftop. The ceiling shattered. The man landed gracefully, still crackling with leftover electricity. The crowd screamed in panic. Tay Knock, his hair was snow white, and his eyes glowed blood red, emitting a sense of ominous mystery. Elder Ha yelled, You destroyed my protective barrier just like that? Even my fortress is ruined. Tay Knock responded with contempt. Protective barrier? You mean that paper-thin thing? He stomped his cane with disdain. And that, fortress, ugly, unbearably out of style, doesn't suit my taste. Every word out of Tay Knock's mouth was mocking. And you lot here, ugly, short, tasteless, curved backs and cracked apples, hurts the eyes. The others flinched. Arg, my eyes are bleeding. Stop going too far. Elder Ha barked. Tay Knock, if it weren't for your sharp tongue, you wouldn't have offended the royal court. The noblewoman clutched her face. Terrified. I heard rumors about how vicious he was with words. I didn't think he'd be this bad. Tay Knock calmly wiped blood from his ears and said, Frankness is my charm. Honestly, I want to leave already. This place is unbearable. Just then, Lang Vu's sweet voice rang out. Daddy Tilda. She ran over and hugged him tightly. You came. Seeing his adorable daughter, Tay Knock instantly brightened up. My sweet girl, seeing you always lifts my mood. But he froze mid-sentence. He sniffed closely and frowned. Your scent, it changed. He sniffed again. Your blood's mixed with something else. His expression grew dark. My perfect princess, someone tainted you? Startled by his face, Lang Vu panicked and shouted. It's a Qian Chu, a familiar. She pulled Vong Triet over and introduced cheerfully. Look, Daddy, this is my new Qian Chu. Isn't he okay? Come, greet our father. Dragged along and insulted, Vong Triet snapped. What do you mean our father? Hearing that, Tay Knock stepped closer and patted Vong Triet's shoulder a few times. Then, with blood-red eyes full of disdain, he spat. So ugly. I can't take it. Daughter, can't we just switch to another familiar? Lang Vu replied with a soft laugh. Not for now. On the sidelines, the surrounding nobles watched like an audience watching a family soap opera. Tears welled up as someone muttered. Why am I so angry watching this? A grown daughter? You can't keep her forever? One sharp nobleman snapped. That's enough. We didn't come here to watch their family drama. Elder Ha shouted. Tay Knock, your daughter's familiar offended us. You must compensate. Otherwise, don't think about leaving this manor. But the moment the words left his mouth, unexpectedly, the entire manor collapsed into rubble. Dust clouds rose from shattered stone walls. The group could only stand there, dumbfounded. The house collapsed. Looking at the ruin, the noblewoman offered a suggestion. Maybe you should change your line next time. Hearing that, Elder Ha fell silent and dared not utter another word. The white-haired man with glowing red eyes was none other than Count Tay Knock, a combat class tier 2 refined warrior. The moment he saw anything unpleasant, his eyes would bleed, and he constantly spewed venomous words. Those ABCD nobodies were nothing more than tier 5 trash in his eyes. This provoked rage among those nearby. Hey, don't you think you're being a bit too much? Old man Ha barked out a threat. 2 fists can't match 4 hands. Even if you're a peak-level sovereign, you can't possibly withstand the assault of an entire army. Tay Knock, tonight your arrogance will cost you dearly. But Tay Knock remained completely unafraid. He calmly floated upward and let out a loud laugh, slamming his staff into the ground. He mocked, trash who don't know their place. As his staff glowed, giant rocks around them began to rise into the air. In an instant, the entire sky was covered by enormous boulders. The crowd below panicked. What the? This isn't right. Stunned, they could only stand rooted to the spot and scream in vain. Ha Lao quickly formed a barrier. Protective shield. But it was too weak, instantly shattered. A massive rock pierced straight into his back. Collapsing, he could only ask himself bitterly, why? Some tried to flee on all fours, but none escaped their fate. Almost everyone was taken down in moments. One survivor struggled to rise, his body trembling. Why, even with so many of us, we still lost? We couldn't even activate our abilities before being crushed. This overwhelming power, this is the might of the purebloods. Too late, he realized the price of offending the wrong person. So this is the gap between us and the purebloods. Tay Knock landed gently and said, if victory were determined by numbers alone, the Blood Clan would have gone extinct long ago. He raised his staff again, eyes sharp as blades, and declared coldly, remember this, wretches will always be wretches. Mixed bloods will never compare to true noble purebloods. Even after losing his estate and everything he had, Ha Lao stubbornly shouted, Tay Knock, don't get too cocky. What you did tonight, we'll report you to the emperor. You're finished. Lang Vu, linking arms with her father, whispered, Dad, these guys talk too much. Why not just kill them? Then no one's left to tattle. Her cruel suggestion terrified everyone. Hey now. But Tay Knock didn't even bother looking at them. Too ugly. If I kill them, I'll have nightmares, just thinking of those ugly faces again. Lang Vu nodded. You're right. The group, sensing a narrow escape, broke out in cold sweat. Tay Knock sneered. Go ahead, tattle all you want. That new empress? I used to hang her up by her ankles when we were kids. She's used to my beatings. Hearing this, the nobles shouted in panic. He dared call her majesty by name? Treason. My house is gone. My back's broken. Meanwhile, Vong Triet quietly turned away and walked toward a ruined corner of the estate. There, he spotted the young girl lying on the ground. Rushing over, he lifted her carefully. Thank goodness, no serious injuries. He thought to himself, Count Tay Knock must have held back on purpose. Back on the battlefield, Tay Knock glanced over. A rare decent-looking thing in a pile of ugliness. Worth protecting, isn't it? He then gestured to leave. Let's go. And so, the 4 of them departed in triumph. At the sound of the urgent call, the protagonist rushed out, Van Zong. He ran straight to the school, but seeing it completely deserted only deepened his worry. Why is the school so empty? Where are the guards? Without delay, he sprinted toward the principal's office. He knocked repeatedly, shouting, Principal Van Zong, are you inside? There was no response. The protagonist slowly pushed the door open. It was unlocked. Inside the office, not a soul was present. He called out again, louder this time. Anyone here? Principal Van Zong? He stepped inside and searched every corner. No sign of anyone, no trace of a struggle either. Just then, his foot stepped on something, crack. The sound of shattered glass. Looking down, he saw a broken photograph. He quickly picked it up. It was a photo of Van Zong and his father. His expression darkened. Something had definitely happened. Without hesitation, he ran straight to the police station to report it. But the police chief told him, "Sorry, kid, this case can't be filed." Shocked, he demanded, "Why not?" Clearly distressed, he shouted, "I told you already. I got a call for help from my classmate. His house is suspicious, and he's missing." But the officer, unfazed, remained seated and said, "It's only been a few hours. Adults going missing for a few hours isn't unusual. It's 4 a.m., kid. Go home and sleep. If it turns out to be real, we'll act." The protagonist snapped, frustrated. "It is real. At least send someone to his house. Or check his phone. Do something. Don't forget, you're the people's police." The man scoffed. "People's police? You misunderstand. We're under the royal bloodline's authority. Why would we serve commoners like you? If the report came from a noble, we'd act instantly. Don't you get it?" Those words left the protagonist fuming but speechless. Just then, a female officer whispered something to the chief. The man froze, then turned pale. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Suddenly, the chief changed his tone entirely. He stood and beamed. "Oh, noble familiar. If only we knew you had graced us with your presence. Please, sit. Sorry for the shabby station, take my chair. Please, you too, bring tea." The protagonist was speechless at the ridiculous switch. Without wasting time, he said, "Stop the nonsense. Dispatch your men, now." The chief laughed nervously. Of course. I'll personally lead the team to the principal's residence." But then the female officer called again. She whispered something urgently. The chief paused, now clearly awkward. Scratching his head, he stammered, "I'm terribly sorry, my lord, but this is beyond our jurisdiction." The protagonist asked sharply, "What now?" The chief explained, "This is internal bloodline business. Please don't put pressure on our humble department." The protagonist didn't understand. "What do you mean, internal? You know something about Van Zong's family, don't you?" Sweating, the chief replied, "Know what? Just, every major bloodline in this city sent people to Lady Lin Langvu's familiar selection. They all came to gather information about you." He continued, "Their addresses, relations." The protagonist stood frozen, expression turning pale. He immediately called his father. "Hello? What the hell's wrong with you? Kid, calling me in the middle of the night?" Hearing his father alive, he sighed with relief. "You're okay, thank God." His father shouted, "Of course I'm not okay. First you become a familiar. Then this late night call. I haven't slept for days. Get home for dinner tomorrow. You brat." Click. Relieved but puzzled, the protagonist thought, "Why target Van Zong, and not my family?" Just then, Butler R appeared with 2 followers. "Because your family is already under our protection." The protagonist turned, shocked. "Butler R?" The man smirked calmly. "These events always happen during familiar selection. It's just the major families trying to intimidate commoners who dare compete. Van Zong got caught in the crossfire. They wouldn't dare touch you." "But, why? It's just a title. Is it really that important?" Butler R answered gravely, "Yes, these families devote their entire lives to it. But with one sentence, you undermined their worth." He smiled darkly. "From a certain perspective, you're incredibly infuriating." The protagonist lowered his head. We'll talk about this later. Right now, we have to save Van Zong." Butler R replied. "He and his father are at number 18. Imperial Avenue. Our people are already there." With a glint in his eye, he said coldly, "Say the word, and we'll erase that entire family." Grinning ominously, he added, "Even if you don't want this power, it's yours, and if you use it, it'll be your deadliest weapon. So, what will you do?" A swirl of crimson auras surrounded the protagonist. Like in a trance, he whispered, "Save them." Scene shift. A pair of nobles toasted in a lavish room. Cheers. The Archqueen summoned Tay Knock back to the capital. After wrecking a noble estate, he's definitely not returning. The woman in the red dress laughed. "That means he's not coming back alive." The man snarled, "Lin Langvu and her lowly familiar, wasting years of our grooming. She slapped our clan in the face. Just a barber's son. How did he win her favor? We joined forces, yet lost to some commoner." She soothed him. "Don't be angry, my lord. Didn't we capture one of his companions?" She glanced at the beaten figure beside her. "Careful, keep him alive, just barely." "Yes, ma'am," the goons responded while continuing to beat Van Zong. The woman stood and smiled. "It's getting late. Rest well, my lord. Tomorrow, we'll enjoy the real surprise." But just as their joy peaked, a terrifying pressure descended. They froze. What's going on? Lord, something's wrong." Outside, the protagonist and his squad had breached the enemy's estate. He floated in midair, crimson light blazing from his body. Inside, the nobles screamed in panic. "We're under attack." A panicked staff member burst in, shouting, It's bad. Someone's attacking. The man barked in fury. Insolence. Who dares act so recklessly? Meet the enemy. Bring me his head. Just then, a row of winged figures flew in from outside. Everyone froze in terror. That's... Butler R curled his lips into a cold smile and ordered. Kill them. The room was instantly reduced to rubble. The man walked forward. Someone screamed in terror. Stay away. The protagonist stood there, completely calm as he stared at the terrified crowd. An old man quickly spoke up. Esteemed guests of Count Tay Knock, could you please stop now? This is just a petty dispute between familiars. You've already destroyed my house and killed people, surely that's enough? Look, I only invited him, yes. I simply invited the honorable headmaster for a cup of tea. There's no need to escalate further. He's unharmed, isn't he? But if any of you come closer, I'll be very afraid, and if I get scared, I might slip up, don't you think? The headmaster gave a small cough. The protagonist looked over anxiously. Headmaster. Butler R stepped up and placed a hand on his shoulder. My lord, this man's chances of survival are gone. He has only a thread of breath left, he won't make it till morning. Upon hearing this, the protagonist shouted. You. A girl nearby screamed. Stay away. Our family is a bloodline of familiars under the command of General Thien Wei, a direct subordinate of Her Majesty. We have a 200-year-old legacy. You should think twice. You're just a familiar. Can you speak for Count Tay Knock? Can you afford to offend the Empress? And you over there, you're our right? You're a half-blood too. How can you take orders from a mere new familiar? She screamed again. Go inform Lin Langvu and Count Tay Knock. Butler R calmly adjusted his glasses and replied. Apologies, but the masters are currently absent. At present, all matters are to be handled by Lord Familiar Vong Triet. Given the situation, it seems your only option is to beg him for mercy. He emphasized the word. Beg that little familiar for leniency. She stood there stunned. The old man immediately kowtowed repeatedly. I beg you, my lord, I'm begging you. The girl cried out in disbelief. Master, no, how can you kneel before a familiar? Our family. Before she could finish, he slapped her hard across the face. We're all about to die. What damn family? Get out. Then he crawled forward and said, Lord Familiar, I'll surrender this old man to you unconditionally. Oh, and his son too, yes. His son joined the selection trial with you. Didn't he? You even helped him a lot. You must be good friends. Yes? Ha ha. Only true friends would come storming into my mansion like this. Ha ha ha. He pleaded hurriedly. I'll take you to him right away. The protagonist shouted. If Van Zong dies, you won't leave here alive either. The man immediately agreed. Of course, of course. He then led the protagonist down into the basement. He's still alive, he said. Only I can open this basement. You'll be able to see him soon. Just behind that door. He glanced at the door, and it immediately recognized him and opened. He bowed solemnly. Please, go ahead. The protagonist cautiously said. You first. Of course, of course. The man said, and stepped inside. Once inside, the protagonist's eyes widened. He ran over, shouting, Van Zong. Finally, he dropped his guard and rushed forward. The man reached over and pressed a button. The metal door slammed shut behind them. Outside, the others panicked. We're locked in, my lord. It's an alloy door, it'll take time to break through. Vong Triet is in danger. Butler R calmly ordered. Send word to Lady Lin Langvu. A subordinate immediately responded. Yes, sir. Pushing up his glasses, R watched closely. Now Vong Triet must face an old-blooded vampire of the 3rd Division, in a sealed room. With no way out, and on the enemy's home turf. He smirked faintly. He's dead for sure. But then he paused, thinking, why does it feel like things might not go as planned? Inside, the man calmly poured himself a glass of wine. Ha ha, sipping lightly, he said, this is a 1,000-kilo superalloy. Even Tay Knock would need time to break through. Personally, I enjoy surprises. And this is your first surprise. Vong Triet clenched his teeth in fury, but ignored the man and rushed to Van Zong, shouting, Van Zong. He gently shook him. Van Zong, then froze in shock at what he saw. The man chuckled. Surprise number 2. Do you like it? Originally, the plan was to wait till morning. Let the old man have one last surge of clarity, to watch as his own son. Now my familiar murders him in despair. What exquisite pain he would feel. That was to be surprise number 3. Truly thrilling. He continued, but you all ruined my plan. Still, it wasn't for nothing. Judging by your expression, ha ha ha, it's truly delightful. With a snap of his fingers, he declared, now the climax begins. He turned to Van Zong and commanded, Awaken, my loyal familiar. For your beloved master, let the performance begin. Van Zong's eyes snapped open. The man grinned. I'm quite curious myself. Between Lin Langvu's familiar and mine, who's stronger? He leaned forward, eager. Let's find out. Vong Triet shouted. Van Zong, wake up. But before he could react, he was struck, pierced through the shoulder. The man laughed gleefully. It's useless. He's already my familiar now. A puppet without a will. Loyal to the core. Incapable of betrayal. Well, what are you waiting for? Van Zong? He roared. Tear him to pieces. Vong Triet stood frozen, unable to believe what he was seeing. In his mind, Van Zong was always that carefree, cheerful boy. His teeth clenched in rage. Damn it. Over and over again. These filthy monsters keep pushing the line. He screamed in fury. You bastards, this world of yours, it's all garbage. You all deserve to die. The man sipped his wine. Amused. Haha. That expression of yours, it could change the whole world. Bark all you want. Face reality. Humans are pigs. Inferior. Pathetic. Playthings for us. Food for us. Just like the animals you slaughter. This is natural selection. Becoming a familiar is the best fate you could ever ask for. He said coldly. Killing you wouldn't even warrant punishment. Because at the end of the day, you're just a familiar. I'll present Van Zong's head to Tay Knock. Even if people find out, Lin Langvu won't understand. And Tay Knock? He's not going to turn against me over some dog his daughter raised. He chuckled. Now then, the game should end here. Van Zong, use that technique. He went on. When I transferred my power into my familiar, he inherited the abilities encoded in my genes. Not all, but enough. Enough to kill you. Vong Triet's eyes widened in shock. The technique activated, savage bloodlust. Frenzy mode. The man yelled. Attack power up by 300%. Rage mode sustained for 1 minute. Don't let that brat even breathe. Van Zong rushed forward. Yes. In an instant, a sharp strike pierced clean through Vong Triet's body. The man laughed madly. Ha 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 ha. Wonderful. Absolutely marvelous. Watching the two slaughter each other made him ecstatic. What a beautiful sight. Suddenly, a tear slid from Van Zong's eye. Vong Triet leaned in close to his ear and whispered gently. Finally, you stopped. Then he hugged him tightly and said, Caught you. Van Zong struggled violently, but Vong Triet held firm. It's okay, Van Zong. It's almost over. The man was stunned. Vong Triet brought his mouth to Van Zong's neck and murmured, just a little longer. Then, he sank his teeth deep into Van Zong's shoulder. The man burst out laughing to the point of tears. Ridiculous. Trying to mark my familiar? That's hilarious. You're not even pureblood, just a familiar. And you think you can brand someone else? You want to suppress the power I poured into him? Unless Tay Knock personally intervenes. You've got no chance. You? Ha 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 ha. A few minutes earlier, as Van Zong moved, Vong Triet had already realized, he's too fast. I can't even grab the hem of his shirt. What do I do? Then it hit him, his ability. My ability. He remembered the familiar space, that fridge. He climbed up with all his might. But the fridge wouldn't open. How do I use it? I'm out of time. Just then, Lin Langvu appeared, smiling. Ya tilde to you Triet tilde. Startled, he asked, Lin Langvu, what are you doing here? She giggled. This is your familiar space. Within a certain range, as long as both sides agree, interaction is possible. But in truth, she thought, only he could do this. No one else can create such a powerful space. I tested it in front of many people before. None of them even noticed. His space is on another level. It's awe-inspiring, and the area of influence is massive. Normal familiars have a range of 10 meters. But him? Who knows what his limit is? He's terrifying. No doubt about it. I like him more and more. Vong Triet said urgently. Lin Langvu, things are getting out of hand. What should I do? She smiled mischievously. He tilde give me a kiss and I'll tell you tilde. He stared at her, speechless. She laughed again. Alright, I'm just teasing tilde. But listen, I can't help you open that fridge. That's tied to your ability. However, I can teach you how to deal with your current situation. The person you want to save has already become someone else's familiar. What should you do? Of course, she leaned close. Steal him back. Make him your own familiar. What? He gasped. Lin Langvu explained. Once someone becomes a familiar, there's no returning to normal. But if you make him your familiar, you can give him the greatest freedom. That's the best outcome possible. She smiled. I'll teach you how to do it. Whether you go through with it, that's up to you. Besides, she thought, Master really likes this boy. If I help him save his friend, it'll make Master happy. She added, don't worry about whether it'll succeed. I'm pureblood, remember? You're my familiar, of course you can easily absorb others. Especially those with impure blood. Vong Triet hesitated. But she thought to herself. All nonsense. In reality, stealing a marked familiar is insanely hard. But with Master's noble bloodline, it's like taking candy from a baby. She stepped forward, voice serious now. There's no time. Tiu Triet. Then she gave him a choice. Mark him, or kill him. You can only choose one. Inside the apartment, a voice called out. Dad. Van Zong entered, carrying a bag of groceries. I'm back, he said. The headmaster replied. Seeing him, Van Zong brought the groceries into the kitchen. Still practicing calligraphy? I'll start cooking. Then, your health's not great, you shouldn't sit too long. Hearing that, the old man said. Van Zong, take a look. How do these characters I wrote look to you? Van Zong walked over and glanced at the 3 characters on the table. Heaven. Earth. Man. He nodded. Still flawless. As always. Then, putting on his apron, he remarked softly. But Dad, you've been writing the same words every day lately. Don't you get tired of it? Maybe try something different? The old man replied. Tired? He stared intently at the brush in his hand and said. Heaven, earth, and man. This principle lies in harmony at dusk and dawn. The will of man must never be forgotten. Van Zong blinked, puzzled. Huh? The old man took off his glasses and said gently. It's the essence of being human. All right, I'll go wash the vegetables. Van Zong called out. You're the headmaster. How can I let someone your age do the washing? The old man chuckled. Didn't I raise you all by myself? Move aside, kid. Van Zong grumbled. Where's all that scholarly grace? Huh? Beneath the calligraphy, there was a photo, an old picture of the 2 of them. But now, the glass had shattered, as if foreshadowing something terrible. The moment the protagonist bit him, something inside Van Zong awakened. Tears streamed silently down his face. A sharp pain surged through him. Dad? Then, as if something had snapped, he screamed. The old man watched in horror. What the hell is this energy? He turned to the 2 of them and shouted. Panic in his voice. They must not be allowed to complete the transformation. He crushed his wine glass and gave the command. Kill them. A wave of violent energy erupted. An attack surged forward, aimed directly at the pair. But he gasped. Missed? He turned toward Van Zong, fear flickering in his eyes. Van Zong gently laid Vong Triet down. In his gaze now, there was clarity. Awareness. The old man laughed, forcing a grin. Ha ha ha. But in the very next second, he coughed violently, blood spurting from his mouth. Ku. The bond of the familiar, it's broken? How? Rebound? That's impossible. How did he manage that? This is absurd. Still clinging to arrogance, he said. Even so, you're no match for me. You're just a familiar, a fragile, lowly servant. I'm a pureblood vampire, born stronger, born superior. But Van Zong said nothing. He simply swung his weapon, twice. The old man gasped, stunned. Van Zong smiled faintly. The old man crumpled, pitiful and broken. Hey, damn it all? And then he collapsed. Van Zong slowly approached Vong Triet and sat down beside him. He reached out, gently brushing his fingers across the young man's face. Softly, he murmured, the meaning of being human, is that it? The photo of the 2 of them, perhaps it could never be mended again. Vong Triet stood frozen in shock. It's over. He had become a disembodied soul. His body unable to move. What are you trying to do, little brother? At that critical moment, after recklessly biting Van Zong, now he was genuinely worried. I'm doomed. I can only stand here and watch him spiral out of control. But as he watched Van Zong, he was stunned. He's strong, way too strong. With speed the naked eye couldn't even catch. Van Zong had taken out the enemy in a flash. Vong Triet glanced toward Lang Vu and thought. So this is the power of Lin Lang Vu's bloodline. A terrifying woman? She giggled softly behind him. Hee. Van Zong, however, simply sat there, motionless, staring at his own body lying lifeless on the floor. Suddenly, he dug his nails into his own chest. Vong Triet panicked. What's he doing? Lang Vu calmly replied. Self-destruction, she explained. He doesn't want to live anymore. Looking at his current state, she added, since your body is immobile, I can't restrain him directly right now. So he's acting on instinct. Hearing that, Vong Triet thought grimly. His strongest instinct right now. Suicide. He shouted. Van Zong, don't do it. His voice rang out. As long as you're alive, there's still a chance. Vong Triet rushed forward, grabbing Van Zong by the shoulders, and without hesitation, pulled him into an embrace. Listen to me, he pleaded. Lang Vu watched silently and thought to herself, my master, he's far more than I expected. Vong Triet looked straight into Van Zong's eyes. Please, calm down, just hear me out. Before he could say more, Van Zong suddenly stood up. Vong Triet was caught off guard. Then, Van Zong slowly dropped to one knee. Lang Vu explained, once the mental link stabilizes, the submissive instincts within his body will take over. From this point forward, whatever you ask of him, he won't refuse. She looked at the scene before her and confirmed, this is the mark of a familiar. Vong Triet called out, Van Zong, it shouldn't be like this. Isn't there another way? He turned to her, a way for him to be himself again. Like me, I became. He hesitated, you're familiar. Lang Vu's eyes lit up with curiosity. Vong Triet quickly moved to support Van Zong, saying, but I'm still myself. He can be too, right? She replied with a sly smile. Humans are such curious creatures. And a master like you stirs up strange feelings in me. Then she said, complete imprinting. If you want him to regain his full self-awareness, you'll need to complete the imprinting. Right now, you've only given him a bite. That's still far from what's required. Vong Triet froze. Complete imprinting? And then blushed furiously, shouting, what are you talking about? Lang Vu leaned in, clearly amused. Oh ho ho tilde, don't be shy. Our readers are dying to see it. Don't run away now. Panicking, he dashed to the fridge and hugged it tightly. No, but she quickly yanked him back. He clung on. No. Suddenly, the fridge door creaked open. Vong Triet was surprised. It opened? He stared, wide-eyed. Inside was a single item, a glowing ice crystal. Isn't it normal to have ice in a fridge? He asked. Suspicious. Lang Vu quickly answered. Yes, of course. Vong Triet reached out and touched it. What even is this? The ice suddenly lit up, a beam of light shot out, hitting Van Zong directly. A glowing sigil appeared on his forehead. Panicked, Vong Triet rushed over. Van Zong, are you okay? What is that symbol on your forehead? Lang Vu puffed out her cheeks in irritation, and vanished in a huff. HMPH. Van Zong stirred slightly and muttered. Who? Vong Triet? You're awake, Vong Triet said, voice trembling with relief. Tears spilled from Van Zong's eyes uncontrollably. He looked up at Vong Triet. My father, he. Vong Triet froze, his heart aching. He's outside. Once they stepped out, Van Zong ran to his father and hugged him tightly, sobbing. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He repeated the words again and again, but the old man's arms hung limply. There was no miracle. Not this time. Even Vong Triet, watching silently, felt his heart breaking. The headmaster was dead. Van Zong had become a familiar. And as for Vong Triet, he realized it too. He was no longer human. No longer just human. The butler, R, approached and respectfully announced. Mr. Vong Triet, the headmaster's remains have been taken care of. They've been transferred to the cemetery. He continued, according to regulations, those without recognized abilities are not qualified to be interred there. But because you are Lady Lin Lang Vu's familiar, a special exception has been made. All of this is a benefit of your vampire status. Vong Triet suddenly spoke. Mr. R. The butler bowed. Yes, sir. He turned to face him. What happened earlier, it wasn't an accident. Was it? That trap was obvious. I may have been unaware. But you saw through it long ago. Didn't you? R smiled faintly. Mr. Vong Triet, you've misunderstood. But then, his tone lost all pretense. There was no need to rush things like that, tch. Suddenly, something pulsed inside him. HRK, what is this? He turned slowly. No, it can't be. The punishment arrow? A streak of piercing light shot straight through his body. It was Lin Lang Vu's arrow of judgment. R gasped in both pain and disbelief. This is punishment? For going against her will? He fell to his knees, clutching the wound. I've served Lady Lin Lang Vu for years. I may not be her familiar, but I've watched her grow up all this time. Why? He collapsed, unable to comprehend. This was such a minor thing, so trivial. Lady Lin Lang Vu, are you really choosing to shield that weakling? That trembling little chick? Over me? Lang Vu chuckled lightly behind him. Hee, that was just a warning. Then her voice dropped into something cold and absolute. No one, absolutely no one, is allowed to anger my master. Funeral home. A voice called softly. Van Zong. He turned around. Vong Triet noticed the object in his hands and asked, what's that? Van Zong answered, I don't want my father buried in the same place as those monsters. I'm bringing him home. All right, Vong Triet said, let's go. At the city apartment complex. Van Zong slowly keyed in the passcode. They stepped inside. Make yourself at home, he said. Thanks. Vong Triet replied. I'll make some tea. How about black tea? It was my father's favorite. He began preparing the tea. His voice softer now. He used to tell me stories about hiking deep into the mountains to pick these leaves himself. They're rare. As he brewed the tea, he murmured, I like tea too, but now, what do I even do with the rest of these leaves? A tear fell into the cup. His hand trembled. Then he collapsed. Grief overwhelming him. What should I do now? Vong Triet couldn't hold back his tears either. Benzong, I'm so sorry. He wiped his face, guilt heavy in his chest. This is all my fault. If I hadn't drawn so much attention, they wouldn't have taken it out on you. Things wouldn't have ended up like this. He whispered, voice breaking. I don't even know when I became a monster, but I dragged you down with me. But Benzong suddenly looked up and said, Monster? You're wrong. He turned to face him. Firm. That's not how I see you. Vong Triet, I'm grateful to you. Because of you, I had the strength to avenge my father. He walked over to the desk and said quietly, and if you're a monster, then what does that make me? His fingers brushed the paper on the table, the calligraphy that read heaven, earth, man. Vong Triet, have you ever thought about it? He leaned in, almost whispering. People with unique genes, compared to the average human, aren't they already something other, from birth? Vampires, familiars. In the end, they're just humans with stronger genes. Black, white, yellow, aren't we all still human? He continued, voice growing steadier, more certain. Different abilities, unusual traits. From start to finish, it's all just human evolution. My father once told me, what defines whether someone is human is their nature. Vong Triet stared at him, stunned. So long as there's humanity within, one is still human. Vong Triet, Benzong said softly, you're not a monster. Neither of us are. Benzong, Vong Triet called out, his voice thick with emotion. I've come to terms with it. Benzong said. He gently placed the photo of him and his father back on the desk. I used to be weak, average, lost with no dreams or direction. But now, I know what I had to do. He turned, smiling faintly. You won't stand in my way, right? Then he stepped closer, voice low but certain. After all, you are my master. Benzong spoke up. Familiars have always followed their master's will. So this must be your wish too, right? The more he spoke, the more manic he became. Using this power I have now, I'll kill them all. Those vampires don't deserve to be called human. Vong Triet was stunned. Benzong, he really has changed. But then Benzong turned to him, eyes burning. They never expected this, us. Familiars, still clinging to our humanity. That's our greatest weapon. We can use that, to take their lives with ease. Clenching his fists in resolve, he declared, so I have to start working. He dove into the shelves, frantically pulling out documents and shouting, think everything through, gather data, formulate plans. I'll start by researching 100 weaknesses of the vampire race, then write a thesis. Vong Triet stood in place, speechless, as he watched him scribble furiously. So he hasn't changed after all. Still the overachiever. He finally said, hold on, for now, just stay indoors. Whatever plan you have, wait until we've grown stronger. Then we act. Benzong spun around and shouted, got it, the weak never win wars. That means it's up to you now. Brother Triet, my superior. My strength depends on yours. He raised his hand in a determined vow. That's why you have to train even harder. That way, we can grow stronger together. 100 questions on familiar training methods. How to kill with a single punch. He rattled on excitedly. Power-up methods. These books. Add to cart. Study, study, and more study. Even after Vong Triet had left the room, the light from Benzong's desk still poured into the hallway. Is he going to write all night? He sighed. Powering up, that really is the top priority now. In this twisted world, power means everything. He could feel it, a powerful force stirring inside him. But he couldn't grasp it, couldn't control it, didn't know how to awaken it. That stone from the fridge, another mystery. So many unanswered questions. He felt exhausted. But still, if I want to survive in this world, if I want to help Benzong fulfill his wish. Suddenly, a realization struck him. 3 days. He remembered what Lang Vu had said. I'll give you 3 days to think. After that, I want an answer. So that's what she meant. Vong Triet fell into deep thought. I've already crossed over into this twisted vampire world. As a human, no matter how far I run, I'll never truly escape. He clenched his fists tightly. Then there's only one path left, fight. Grow stronger, at all costs. Only then can I protect those I care about, and earn my freedom. Picking up his phone, he called, Hey, Benzong, can you send me a copy of your materials? That long, frenzied night finally passed. The next day, the entire city was in turmoil. Rumors echoed from every corner. Count Tay Knock has destroyed another clan. Though it was only a minor house, it was still a legitimate vampire bloodline. He wiped them out, just like that. And only days ago, he'd destroyed a public building full of people. Is he going too far? He's clearly defying the Dark Queen's authority. Anger spread. Tay Knock's arrogance was stirring unrest. Far away, a silent castle stood tall and unmoving. Inside, a man sat upon a throne, receiving the latest intelligence. The letter accused Count Tay Knock of defying vampire law. His expression darkened. 3 days from now, convene the Council of the Seven Lords. He added coldly, notify Tay Knock. His presence is mandatory. The attendant bowed. Understood. At the hospital, a voice called out, did you bring your health insurance card? An older man answered cheerfully. Of course I did. Son, your father's perfectly healthy. No need to fuss. Vong Triet sighed. Even healthy people need checkups. Stop talking nonsense. Phew. Even though he'd agreed to head to the capital with Lin Langvu, a nagging worry lingered. Just what game is she playing? He was uneasy. She turned me into her familiar, and yet never tried to control my mind. On the contrary, she even helped me in secret. It's too strange. We're departing tomorrow. I'll have to leave Dad in Van Zong's care for now. Just then, a girl with snow-white hair passed by. He froze. That child, from that night. A man ran up and called. Nu, this is the last test. Once we're done, we can go home. Dad'll take you out for something delicious. Then he looked up and locked eyes with Vong Triet. Wait, this man. It hit him. The mayor? That high-ranking official? He stared at the two of them. That man is her father? Just what kind of genetic mutation is this? The mayor adjusted his glasses and said, Vong Triet. The little girl tugged at his sleeve and said, Daddy, that's the man who saved me the other night. He paused, then nodded. I remember now. She clung to his arm. He took off his hat and said, I see. He turned to Vong Triet. That night, my daughter was taken to be used as a sacrifice. I only learned about it later. I also learned it was you who saved her. But due to my position, I couldn't personally thank you. Now that we've met here today, I'll say it plainly, thank you. Vong Triet was caught off guard. She was the mayor's daughter. And not just any mayor, he's a diamond-tier powerhouse. A man with real power. He asked cautiously, but why would your daughter be targeted by them? The mayor's expression hardened. HMPH, do you really need to ask? They did it on a whim. That's all, just because they felt like it. His hands trembled. Because they're vampires, and I'm just a man. I couldn't protect my own daughter. Vong Triet felt a stab of sorrow. Mayor. The man leaned in and whispered gravely. Don't go to the royal capital. Vong Triet blinked. Huh? It's a trap, the mayor said. A trap set to allow the Dark Queen to kill Tay Knock. Don't go. Nu and Vong Triet said goodbye to each other. Goodbye, big brother. Vong Triet replied. Goodbye. He waved at the little girl as they parted ways. But suddenly, he froze in place. Stunned, the mayor stood high above, glaring down with a serious expression. Vong Triet looked up and recalled the warning the mayor had given him. Don't go to the capital. It's a trap set by the Empress to kill Count Tay Knock. Dangerous, heed my warning. Thinking of this, he pulled out his phone. He had to inform Lin Langvu. Click, click, click. He typed rapidly. Just received reliable intel. Going to the capital is dangerous. It's a trap set by the Empress targeting the Count. Then he added, if you absolutely must go, you need to plan thoroughly. As soon as he sent the message, Lin Langvu replied, yeah, with a heart emoji. Messages began flooding in, full of self-admiration. Are you missing me already? I knew it. You can't bear to be apart from me. Not even for a second. Are you missing me already? I knew it. You can't bear to be apart from me. Not even for a second. He stared helplessly at the screen. Unable to respond, the stream of messages continued. Let's cuddle tonight and watch the stars together. Being stuck together is the best feeling. I miss that grace-bestowing familiar ritual so much. It was blissful beyond words. Ah, this lady can't hold back any longer. His face turned pale, sweat dripping down. Somewhere far away, Lin Langvu, dressed in seductive sleepwear, typed, come to my room. Just as Vong Triet was still in shock, his father patted him on the back. Control yourself, son. Flustered and annoyed, he shouted, Dad, it's not what you think. But his dad just laughed joyfully. Ha ha ha, what's there to be shy about? Your old man has seen it all. Back in the day, I was the sea king among flowers, known as the little playboy of the barbershop world. As he walked, light sparkled all around him. He continued, you don't know this, Tiu Triet, but our little barbershop has gone viral. Ever since you suddenly ran off and became that damn familiar. Loads of people have been coming just because they heard about your amazing hair. And who cut your hair since you were little? Me, that's why they noticed us. Ha 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 ha. With that, he headed back toward the shop. Your dad is now internet famous. Appointments are booked all the way into next year. I gotta get home to cut some hair. Vong Triet tried to stop him. Dad, wait, I'll come back and help too. But his dad snapped back. Help? Help my butt. You're a familiar now, go study hard. Whether it's your power or your brains. Improve them. As he walked off, he said, you think your dad doesn't understand anything? You've already stepped one foot into the vampire world. Vong Triet hesitated. Then he turned back and shouted. I'll do my best. Dad. His father's words filled him with happiness. Light shimmered around him. No matter what happens in the future, Dad will be at home, waiting for me, he thought. Dad. Bathed in the glowing light, he yelled, don't worry, Dad, I'll do my best. His father nodded slowly. Good boy, that's why. Suddenly, his father slung an arm around him and started snapping selfies. Now help me with this. Will you? He said, while Vong Triet's face was still streaked with tears. Laughing heartily while reviewing the photos, his father said, perfect, look how genuine this child and his dad are. The father-son bond is immeasurable. Then came the embarrassing ones, baby pictures with a bare butt and a bald head. Awkward teenage shots. These'll be great for the banner hanging in front of the shop. Ha 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 ha. Vong Triet was furious. Are you serious? But his dad didn't care. He was already pasting them on the shop's glass door. Right here, nice and visible. Vong Triet could only sigh in defeat. As long as you're happy? He thought to himself. Dad is actually really worried. Sigh, if I want to protect the life Dad has now, the only way is to become stronger. Then his thoughts drifted back to Lin Langvu. She doesn't seem to care about the warning at all. Maybe she already knew something. This woman is not easily swayed. As he walked along, deep in thought, this trip to the capital, dangerous beyond words. Can I even protect myself? If only there were a crash course to get stronger. Just then, someone handed him a poster. Good afternoon, sir. This is a flyer for our martial arts gym, Lingshan Outlaws Dojo. Physical assessment. We teach until you understand. Free classes. A beautiful girl smiled brightly. Interested in checking it out? He looked at the sign. Lingshan Outlaws Dojo. Inside, a photo of a martial arts master hung on the wall. A display case was filled with dumbbells and training balls of all kinds. He looked around suspiciously. Why does this feel exactly like a gym? Have all the ability user gyms just renamed themselves as martial arts dojos? The only real difference was a boxing ring. Inside, two people were fiercely sparring. One brutal punch to the jaw knocked the opponent out cold. Vong Triet's jaw dropped. Damn, that's insane. Even his teeth flew out. This is the real deal. Suddenly, the victor leaned on the ropes and stared at him. Hey, you over there, you look kinda familiar? Startled, Vong Triet turned around. The guy grinned menacingly. Wanna get in the ring and fight? The man issued a challenge. Wanna come up here and fight? Vong Triet scratched his head awkwardly. A fight? No way, I'm really busy. The man responded. Anyone who comes to a martial arts dojo wants to get stronger. And the first step to getting stronger is fighting. Go Dao grinned slyly. You don't even dare to fight? And you say you want to be strong? Ha, coward. Vong Triet asked curiously. Trying to provoke me, huh? So what happens if I win? And what if I lose? The man fell silent. You winning? That's impossible. But if you lose? He suddenly flipped the signboard over. It read, 3-star martial arts dojo. Then you have to buy my training course. 2.888 coins. I'll teach you until you get it. Vong Triet's face twisted. Seeing his reaction, Go Dao shouted. What, looking down on me? I'm a 3-star instructor. You know, just looking at your posture and the way you walk, I can tell you're a rookie. I'm more than qualified to teach you. Vong Triet pointed at him helplessly. Pardon my honesty, but you look really weak. The man exploded. Weak? Me? Fine, come up here. If you can beat me, I'll train you for free. Vong Triet replied. If I can beat you, then why would I still need you to train me? The man froze for a moment. Fair point. Alright then. He pointed behind himself. If you beat me, then my master will train you. That works, right? Vong Triet looked at a glowing picture of a man. Instructor 2 1-star elite instructor. Lingshan Outlaws Dojo. Your master? He asked. The man nodded. Vong Triet looked again at the sparkling portrait. Why does this look like some kind of Lightning Element mobile game ad? Suddenly, the girl who had been quiet until now stepped forward. Tu go. You haven't hit your quota this month. Is that why you're so eager every time a newcomer shows up? But if you do lose, how are you going to invite Master 2? Be careful, or he might beat you to death himself. Someone else chimed in, no worries. If Master 2 ever accepts a disciple, it won't be this kid. I've been lining up for a whole month. Getting taught by Master 2 is the dream of every ability user. Cold sweat formed on Vong Triette's forehead. The more I hear, the more sketchy this sounds. Is this some organized scam? He analyzed the room's surroundings. Besides, ever since I walked in, I haven't seen a single vampire or familiar. Just regular ability users. Can they really defeat bloodline monsters? Suspicion filled his heart. This dojo really just feels like a gym. Putting on a forced expression, he said, if you're this enthusiastic, then I'll fight you. I also want to see what my own strength is like. But, he raised a condition, win or lose. Afterward, let me get a free physical strength evaluation. I really need that. The man frowned. Sure, that's a small thing, but why are you more interested in a physical test than being taught by my master? Huh? Then he muttered angrily. I'm gonna explode. If business wasn't so bad, I wouldn't even bother wasting my breath on this. As Vong Triette stepped forward, the man thought, don't blame me later for being ruthless. I'll beat him into submission. Make him respectfully call me teacher. And pay that tuition. Ha ha ha. Vong Triette picked up the gloves and examined them. Huh, they've got numbers on them? The man got into stance while explaining. It's a strength testing device. This is actually one of the test phases. Vong Triette slipped on the gloves. Got it. He looked down at his feet. The protective gear was unusually high quality. He glanced at the steel-plated barriers surrounding the ring. He was amazed. So this is a martial arts dojo in an ability user world. Since ability users are way stronger than regular people, rings made of ordinary material wouldn't be able to withstand their fighting. The girl called out, get ready. Spectators below the ring cheered. Go, Tu, go. Don't screw up. Little brother, stand firm. That guy has some skills and is super tricky. Vong Triette assumed a serious fighting stance. The first punch came. Vong Triette dodged it. Go Dao pushed off with his toes, borrowing momentum to leap into the air, then slammed a punch with 290 units of force directly at Vong Triette's face. The crowd roared. Not bad. He blocked it. Tu Ngio's punch power is 290, enough to smash through a plank. Push harder. Tu go. Break your limit. A man in a black shirt commented. My highest was only 270 when I was at my peak. Then came another shout, and punch, 299. Cheers erupted. Nice. 299. Just a bit more. Well done. Tu go. Suddenly, a dignified voice rang out from the back. Use your ability. Power up your fist. Go all out. An old man slowly entered, flanked by two women. Someone shouted in shock. Master 2. Go Dao turned around. Master, if I use my ability, he won't survive it. The old man opened his eyes slowly. HMPH. That level of observation. No wonder you're stuck as a 3-star instructor. He stepped forward. Haven't you noticed yet? That made Go Dao freeze, halting his next strike. Vong Triette gasped for breath. Huff, huff? Someone finally noticed. Wait a second. That's right. He took a 299 force punch without even budging. This kid, he's really strong. Hearing that, Go Dao turned back. So you've got some strength. Huh? Then I won't hold back. Purple lightning crackled from his fists. Let's see if you can withstand my finisher. Vong Triette answered calmly. Bring it. Punch force, 388.